Chapter 3505. Although Su Li had just become a 4-star god of war and was stronger than an ordinary 4-star god of war, he was not as strong as a top 4-star god of war. It was considered a good result for him to be in the top 30 of the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses. It would be difficult for him to be in the top 23. Bang! However, even if it was difficult, Su Li was still fearless. He took large strides forward and was finally defeated by the opponent he drew, a top-notch 4-star battle god. Only the other 6 battles of the other 12 people had also been decided one after another. At this moment, the top 30 of the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses had been determined. Swoosh! Names appeared in the sky above the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses. They were the names of the top 30 people who had made it to the final round. The first 16 people were the 11 5-star gods of war who had defeated their opponents in the first stage of the final round of the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses. They were temporarily in the top 16. The 11 5-star gods of war were ranked in the top 11. From the 17th to the 23rd place, they were the 7 people who had defeated their opponents in the second stage. As for Su Li and the others, they were the 7 people who had been defeated in the second stage. The current ranking is only a temporary ranking. There is no order. Su Konghai, the Vice Palace Master of the Tidal Temple who was in charge of the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses, said loudly, "According to the rules of the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses, the people ranked 21st to 30th can only challenge the person ranked 20th at most. Only those who successfully enter the top 20 can challenge the person ranked before them. Naturally, they can only challenge the person ranked 10th at most. Only those who defeat the person ranked 10th can challenge the other 9 people in the top 10. When Su Konghai spoke, everyone, including Duanling Tian, shifted their attention to the 30 names that had already been arranged in order. The person who was temporarily in first place was Zhong Guiyu. After Zhong Guiyu, Tang Sanpao was in second place. Duanling Tian was in third place. Zhou Yongqi was in fourth place. Yu Dongfang was in fifth place. Sima Rui was in sixth place. Yi Dongli was in seventh place. Hong Yuan was in eighth place. Huang Quanan was in ninth place. Lu Suyen was in 10th place. 11th place Yu Dongfang. Behind them was a group of peak 4-star war gods. Su Li's name was also at the back. Moreover, Su Li's name was quite close to the front. He was ranked 24th, second only to the 7 people who had won the second stage. Did you notice? At this time, many of the spectating young geniuses discovered some clues. No matter if it's a group of 5-star war gods or a group of 4-star war gods ranking, it's always the person who first displayed a certain level of strength that was ranked at the front. For example, among the 5-star war gods, Zhong Guiyu was the first to display the strength of a 5-star war god, so he is temporarily in first place. Then Tang Sanpao, he is the second to display the strength of a 5-star war god. Behind him is Duanling Tian. Through the attention of some observant people, others quickly discovered this point. Like Su Li, he was the first to display the strength of a 4-star war god among the 7 people ranked at the bottom. Thus, he was currently ranked at the top of the 7 and was temporarily ranked at the 24th place. Now the rankings are out. Su Konghai's voice sounded again. Next, the person who is temporarily ranked at the 30th place, please come out and challenge your opponent. Of course, you can only challenge the person ranked at the 20th place at the very most. After the challenge is successful, if you can maintain your ranking, you can challenge the people ranked from the 4th to the 19th place in the next round. Su Konghai said. The final stage of the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses could be considered as the final stage. Could also be said to be the longest stage of the final stage. In this stage, the rule was that the people ranked at the bottom had to challenge the people ranked ahead of them one by one. Of course, they could also choose not to challenge and maintain their original ranking. Under such circumstances, if no one challenged you, you would not be able to challenge anyone else. If someone successfully challenged you and pushed you to the bottom, you would have the opportunity to challenge the people in front of you. However, if the person ranked at the 30th place did not challenge him, he would be the last person ranked at the 30th place because no one could challenge him or even replace him. The person ranked at the 30th place was the last person in the top 30 of the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses. Swoosh. As soon as Su Konghai finished speaking, the person ranked at the 30th place, a white-clad young man with a solemn expression, stepped into the ring and looked at Su Li as he said, "I challenge the person ranked at the 24th place, Su Li." As soon as he spoke, an uproar broke out. It seems like he has given up on entering the top 20. It's obvious. If he's aiming to enter the top 20, he wouldn't have challenged those ranked below him. He must be aiming to enter the top 20. After all, the higher one's ranking is, the better the reward from the title temple will be. He's trying to pull Su Li down from the 24th place and replace him. Su Li was the first person to be challenged in the final stage of the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses. Facing the challenge, his expression remained calm and he faced it calmly. In the end, Su Li barely defeated his opponent and retained his 24th place. However, he was injured in the process. "Are you alright?" After Su Li returned, the worry in Duan Ling Tian's eyes didn't reduce as he asked with concern. Earlier, Su Li had vomited 2 mouthfuls of blood after being hit by his opponent. "It's just a minor injury." Su Li smiled faintly. "Take a healing pill. I'll be fine soon." As soon as Su Li finished speaking, he consumed a healing pill and closed his eyes to heal his injuries. According to the rules of the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses, those who were ranked at the bottom were not allowed to challenge Su Li. Su Li had a chance to rest before those who were ranked at the bottom could challenge him again. If someone ranked at the 20th place, those who were ranked at the bottom would not be able to challenge him for the time being since he would have a bye in the next round. Naturally, those who were ranked at the 20th place could challenge those who were ranked at the 19th place. This was one of the rules of the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses. The same rule applied to those ranked at the 10th and 9th place as well. While Su Li was healing his injuries, the person ranked at the 29th place left the ring. He could not challenge Su Li, and he was not ambitious enough to challenge the person ranked at the 20th place. In the end, he chose to challenge the person ranked at the 25th place. Their strength was about the same, but the person who challenged the person ranked at the 25th place won in the end. He was ranked at the 26th place instead of the 25th place. As for the 26th place, all 3 of them were ranked at the 28th place. Then the people ranked at the bottom continued to challenge the 29th place. The person ranked at the 29th place challenged Su Li, who had just recovered from his injuries. This time, Su Li managed to hold his ground. Then it was the 28th place, the 26th place. As for the 25th place, the person ranked at the 29th place, he did not have a chance to challenge anyone since he had already used his chance in the previous round. However, during this time, more than one person had already challenged the person ranked at the 20th place, but all of them failed. In the end, the person ranked at the 22nd place successfully challenged the person ranked at the 20th place and replaced him. The person ranked at the 20th place was ranked at the 21st place, and the person ranked at the 21st place was ranked at the 22nd place. According to the order, the person ranked at the 22nd place could challenge the person ranked at the top. However, according to the rules, the person ranked at the 20th and 21st place had just fought, so he could not challenge them. Under such circumstances, he chose to challenge the person. He could either choose not to challenge. In this situation, unless the person ranked at the bottom replaced him, he would not be able to challenge the person ranked at the top. Or he could choose to challenge the person ranked at the 19th place. If he won, he would replace him. If he lost, he would still be ranked at the 22nd place. Moreover, even if no one challenged him in the next round and replaced him, he could still continue to challenge. I challenged the person ranked at the 19th place. The new person ranked at the 22nd place was obviously someone with ambition. However, even if he was someone with ambition, if he did not have enough strength, he was destined to be useless in the end. The new person ranked at the 22nd place failed his challenge. Number 18. Because number 19 had just been challenged, when it was his turn, Su Konghai allowed number 18 to enter the arena and give number 19 a chance to rest. After number 18 finished his challenge, number 19 could enter the arena and choose his opponent. I challenged the person ranked at the 12th place. Number 18 was a top 4-star war god. He was very ambitious and challenged the 4-star war god who was ranked at the top. Obviously, he was not convinced that the other party was ranked at the top of the 4-star war gods. As for the people ranked at the top 11, they were all 5-star war gods. He knew that even if he challenged them, he would only be asking for humiliation. Therefore, he did not have the intention to challenge them. The person ranked at the 12th place was none other than Meng Fangui. Meng Fangui was the first person to display his strength as a 4-star war god in the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses. He was a disciple of the Dream Profound sect, a heaven-grade force in the Shenyuan heaven. He was skilled in illusions. In fact, his strength was not comparable to a top 4-star war god. However, with the help of the Emperor-grade celestial weapon with an artifact spirit, his strength was comparable to a top 4-star war god. Meng Fangui, you're only able to come this far because you come from a good family and have an Emperor-grade celestial weapon with an artifact spirit. The person who challenged Meng Fangui was a young man in black robes. He had a devilishly handsome face. When he looked at Meng Fangui, A mocking smile appeared on his face. Do you dare to use an Emperor-grade celestial weapon to fight me, Yuan Haojuan? If you want to fight, let's fight. Meng Fangui's face was calm and indifferent. Don't embarrass yourself with this kind of taunting without any skill. So what if I come from a good family? That's because I, Meng Fangui, am reincarnated. You feel free to hide in a secluded corner and envy me, Meng Fangui. The mobile version of the website. Chapter 3506. Upon hearing Meng Fangui's words, even Duan Lingtian could not help but shake his head with a smile on his face. Those who were able to stand out in the Devata realm's battle of geniuses were extraordinary. Meng Fangui might seem like a good-for-nothing rich kid, but the fact that he was able to reach his current height despite being less than 1,000 years old was enough to show how extraordinary he was. Perhaps it had something to do with his background, but it did not matter much. In the Devata realms, there were many people who came from better backgrounds than Meng Fangui, but none of them were qualified to participate in the Devata realm's battle of geniuses. There were at least 800 people like that, if not 1,000. After all, there were 81 Devata realms in total. There were only 8 to 10 people in each Devata realm. Could it be that there were not at least 10 people in each Devata realm who came from a better background than Meng Fan? You're seeking death. Yuan Haojuan, a young genius and a top 4-star god of war, had intended to provoke Meng Fangui into not using his Emperor-grade celestial weapon with an artifact spirit. However, not only did he fail, but he was even angered by Meng Fangui's words. When Yuan Haojuan made the first move, it was not difficult to see that he was truly enraged by Meng Fangui's words. Unless he's a 5-star god of war, he's bound to lose. Many people thought so. Yuan Haojuan's loss of composure had put him at a disadvantage. Although he had made a move before Meng Fangui, it did not mean he could gain the upper hand by striking first. At this moment, Yuan Haojuan was no longer in his usual state. What happened next was just as everyone had expected. Even though Yuan Haojuan tried to adjust his emotions after rushing out, he was unable to completely calm down in a short period of time. When he realized this, he naturally became even more anxious. The more anxious he was, the more mistakes he made. It was a vicious cycle. In the end, in less than 10 moves, Meng Fangui defeated Yuan Haojuan with his Emperor-grade celestial weapon with an artifact spirit and maintained his current ranking. Number 17. Yuan Haojuan was number 18. After his failure, it was number 17's turn to issue a challenge. However, because Meng Fangui number 12 had just been challenged, he couldn't issue a challenge this round. Therefore he could only choose another target. However, he didn't choose number 11 and 10, who were in front of number 12, to look for trouble. A 5-star war god wasn't someone he could fight against. He knew his own limits. In the end, he chose number 13 and successfully challenged him, replacing him. The new number 17. Because number 17 succeeded in his challenge and rose to the top, a new number 17 challenged Meng Fangui after number 17. This new number 17 challenged number 12 Meng Fangui, but he still couldn't shake his opponent's position. Meng Fangui had once again maintained his ranking. Then it was number 16. Number 16 challenged the new number 13, which was the previous number 17, and failed. Number 15 challenged number 12 Meng Fangui and failed. Meng Fangui was strong to begin with. Coupled with the fact that he had an Emperor-grade celestial weapon with an artifact spirit, apart from his unfortunate encounter with Zhong Guiyu in the beginning, he had been undefeated throughout his journey in the Battle of the Geniuses. At this moment, unless there was a top-tier 4-star god of war with an artifact spirit, it would be difficult to shake his position. As for the 5-star god of war, there was no 5-star god of war behind him. Number 14 challenged number 13, but he failed as well. Because number 13 was the previous number 17, he had already challenged number 17, so he could not challenge number 17. Therefore it was now number 12 Meng Fangui's turn. Number 12. Su Konghai's gaze fell on Meng Fangui. However, Meng Fangui shook his head and said, "I forfeit." What a joke. The 11 people in front of him were all 5-star gods of war. Even if he didn't have all the 5-star gods of war, he would only embarrass himself if he challenged them. After all, he couldn't defeat a 5-star god of war with an artifact spirit. If that was the case, it would be better for him to forfeit. At least he would not be humiliated or injured. Nobody was surprised by Meng Fangui's forfeit. In fact, they found it understandable. After all, the gap between a 4-star god of war and a 5-star god of war was too wide. Even if Meng Fangui had an extraordinary Emperor-grade celestial weapon, he would not be able to defeat a 5-star god of war. After Meng Fangui, it's time for the 5-star gods of war to compete. It's finally time. The most exciting part of the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses is about to begin. The battle between the 5-star gods of war is about to begin. To the young geniuses present on the scene, the battle between the 4-star gods of war was merely an appetizer. The battle between the 5-star gods of war would be the highlight of the Battle of the Geniuses in the Devata Realms. Duanling Tian Yu Dongfang is number 11. He'll be the one to challenge you. Su Li's sharp eyes saw Yu Dongfang, who was sitting in the spectator seat opposite them. Yu Dongfang was looking at them indifferently. His eyes were fixed on Duanling Tian as though he had some deep enmity with him. His injuries have healed so quickly? Upon hearing Su Li's words, Duanling Tian turned to look at Yu Dongfang. As expected, Yu Dongfang was staring at him. Previously, Yu Dongfang did not even have a chance to make a move before he was defeated by Huang Quanan. Moreover, due to Huang Quanan's mastery of the law of time, Yu Dongfang had transformed from a young man into an old man with one foot in the grave. However, Yu Dongfang no longer looked like an old man. Instead, he looked like a young man. If an ordinary person was subjected to such a technique, not only would their appearance age, but their body and lifespan would also come to an end. However, Yu Dongfang was not an ordinary person. As a celestial who had endless life, he would only age temporarily, and his body would only deteriorate temporarily. As long as he consumed medicinal pills to replenish his vitality, he would be able to recover quickly. Even if he did not consume any medicinal pills, as long as he was given time, he would gradually recover. The vicissitudes of thought will affect his strength for a period of time. As long as he's given time, he'll be able to recover to his peak. Tang Sanpao said. While Duanling Tian and Yu Dongfang were staring at each other, many people were looking at Yu Dongfang in unison. After all, Yu Dongfang was the person who was going to challenge Duanling Tian. He was currently ranked last in the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses. Based on the time he displayed his strength as a 5-star god of war, he should be ranked in the top 10. However, since he had been defeated by Huang Quanan in the previous round, the Title Temple had arranged for him to be ranked last among the 5-star gods of war. Everyone present on the scene thought this was reasonable. Yu Dongfang was speechless. After all, he had indeed been defeated by Huang Quanan, who had comprehended the law of time. Yu Dongfang seems to have been staring at Duanling Tian since the beginning. Could it be that there's a deep enmity between them? Based on Yu Dongfang's gaze, he'll most likely challenge Duanling Tian. One was the third true disciple of the Heavenly Emperor of the Heavenly Heaven, a 5-star god of war. Duanling Tian was the only true disciple of the Heavenly Emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. He was also a 5-star god of war. Everyone, including the Heavenly Emperors and high-ranking officials from the Title Temple's sub-palaces, looked at Duanling Tian and Yu Dongfang with burning eyes. Brother Feng, I'm afraid this disciple of the Heavenly Emperor of the Shenyuan Heavenly Emperor will challenge junior nephew Duan. Ding Fu, the Heavenly Emperor of the Primeval Heaven, looked at Feng Qingyang and said with a smile, Junior nephew Duan, did you offend him in some way? I don't know. Feng Qingyang shook his head with a calm expression on his face. It seems like you're very confident in junior nephew Duan, Brother Feng. Upon seeing this, Ding Fu's smile widened as he looked at the arena again. At this moment, Su Konghai's voice rang in the air as everyone looked at him expectantly. Now let's invite Yu Dongfang, the 11th contestant, to enter the arena. This will be the prelude to the battle between the 5-star gods of war. I wonder who Yu Dongfang will challenge? It was rare for Su Konghai to speak so much. As soon as he finished speaking, a commotion broke out among the spectators. The atmosphere of the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses was at its peak. Yu Dongfang. Many people looked at the young man with burning eyes. The young man was none other than Yu Dongfang, the third true disciple of Gongsun Shenyuan, the Heavenly Emperor of the Shenyuan Heaven. Who would Yu Dongfang challenge? Based on the current situation, it was most likely he would challenge Duanling Tian. Indeed, Yu Dongfang's eyes were trained on Duanling Tian as soon as he entered the arena. Shenyuan, it seems like your disciple is determined to fight Duanling Tian. Yu Haotian sat opposite Gongsun Shenyuan, the Heavenly Emperor of the Jade Emperor, Celestial Emperor of the Heavenly Emperor of the Shenyuan, Celestial Emperor. He glanced at the battle before looking at Gongsun Shenyuan, who was also looking at the battle. It's not a bad thing for a young man to suffer a little. Gongsun Shenyuan said. Yu Haotian was surprised when he heard Gongsun Shenyuan's words. Shenyuan, based on your words, you're confident in Duanling Tian? Although Duanling Tian was from the same hometown as him, there were many people from planet Yanhuang in the Jade Emperor Heaven that he ruled. For this reason he did not feel anything special about Duanling Tian, who was from the same hometown as him. Compared to Gongsun Xuanyuan's disciple Yu Hao Tian, he felt Duanling Tian was a stranger. If he could decide the outcome of the battle, he would rather Yu Dongfang win. Everyone had their own selfish motives. Although Yu Hao Tian was a heavenly emperor, he was no exception. Duanling Tian isn't as simple as he seems, Gongsun Xinyuan said as he shook his head. Gongsun Xinyuan shook his head. His eyes flickered with uncertainty as if he had discovered something, but he wasn't completely sure. I challenge number 3, Duanling Tian. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Yu Dongfang finally spoke. Just as most people had expected, he challenged Duanling Tian. Duanling Tian. Chapter 3507. Duanling Tian was the third person to display his strength as a 5-star god of war among all the young geniuses who participated in the Devata Realms Battle of the Geniuses. For this reason he was temporarily ranked third in the ranking battle of the last round of the Battle of Geniuses in the Devata Realms. Zhong Guiyu and Tang Sanpao, who had revealed their strength as 5-star gods of war earlier than him, were ranked third. Now it was Yu Dongfang's turn to issue a challenge. He was also the last 5-star god of war. He directly challenged Duanling Tian. Swoosh. Duanling Tian's expression was calm when he heard Yu Dongfang's challenge. In just a blink of an eye, he entered the ring and faced Yu Dongfang. Duanling Tian. Yu Dongfang stared at Duanling Tian as his eyes gleamed brightly. I've been waiting for this moment. I, Yu Dongfang, will defeat you in front of everyone today because I, Yu Dongfang, can't stand some of your actions. All right. Duanling Tian merely nodded indifferently when he heard Yu Dongfang's challenge. Make your move. Nobody expected Duanling Tian to challenge Yu Dongfang as soon as he opened his mouth. It was as though he was not interested in chatting with Yu Dongfang at all. The young geniuses were happy to see this. There's no need to waste time if you're going to fight. Yu Dongfang, make your move. Defeat Duanling Tian and fulfill your promise. Yu Dongfang is so boastful. Will he fail miserably in the end? I don't think so. Yu Dongfang is more than 300 years older than Duanling Tian. Moreover, he's the most outstanding disciple under Gongsun Xinyuan, the heavenly emperor of the Xinyuan heaven. He's widely acknowledged as a peerless prodigy in the Xinyuan heaven. Duanling Tian is not bad as well. He's only slightly over 600 years old. In the solitary destructive heaven, it's hard to find another person who's a match for him under 1,000 years old. While Yu Dongfang and Duanling Tian were facing each other, the young geniuses began to whisper among themselves. The topic of discussion was always Duanling Tian and Yu Dongfang. Some of them had confidence in Yu Dongfang. Some of them thought Duanling Tian had a chance of winning as well. At this moment, Duanling Tian was no longer like before the Devata Realms Genius Battle. He had proven himself with his strength in the Devata Realms Genius Battle. So what if he was young? He could still rank in the top 30 in the Devata Realms Battle of the Geniuses. His strength was comparable to a 5-star god of war. Duanling Tian, Yu Dongfang said Yu Dongfang's use. Faced with Duanling Tian's nonchalance, Yu Dongfang felt as though he was inferior to Duanling Tian. He was instantly enraged and his eyes gleamed coldly. Swoosh. A loud explosion rang in the air as a golden ball of light that looked like a thunderbolt appeared behind Yu Dongfang. It seemed as though it could light up heaven and earth. Bursts of light sprinkled on the bodies of the people present. It was like the scorching sun in the sky pouring down in torrents. At this moment Yu Dongfang looked like the son of the sun. A dazzling sword-shaped mark could be seen between his eyebrows. It was so dazzling that people did not dare to look at it directly. Swoosh. Under everyone's watchful eyes, a golden sword ray shot out from between Yu Dongfang's eyebrows. It seemed as though it could annihilate everything. Everything in the surroundings paled in comparison as it shot toward Duanling Tian. However, Duanling Tian remained motionless in the face of Yu Dongfang's probing attack. When the sword light approached, the path of control appeared. Space distorted and folded, forming a rapid spatial vortex that sucked in the sword light, causing it to disappear without a trace. Use your strongest move. Duanling Tian glanced at Yu Dongfang indifferently before he said, Otherwise I'm afraid you won't be able to block even one of my moves. What did Yu Dongfang mean? At this moment, Duanling Tian's words were heart-wrenching to Yu Dongfang. Although Yu Dongfang appeared to be calm on the surface, the coldness in his eyes had deepened. It was as if everything he looked at would be frozen. As expected of the only true disciple of the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. You're really confident, Yu Dongfang said. Since that's the case, I'll do as you wish. Let's settle this with one move. As soon as Yu Dongfang finished speaking, thousands of golden sword rays shot out from the sun-like light behind him. It was like a rain of swords as it shot toward Duanling Tian. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. After the thousands of sword rays shot out, more and more sword rays shot out from the golden ball of light. It was as though the golden ball of light contained endless sword rays. However, Duanling Tian remained indifferent in the face of Yu Dongfang's sword rays. His Tao of control was like a bottomless pit as it devoured all of Yu Dongfang's attacks. It devoured as many sword rays as it came. It seems like my first attack won't be able to break through your Tao of control, Yu Dongfang said. Yu Dongfang's voice sounded. His tone was sharp and high-spirited, but there was no trace of panic in it. If that's the case, I'll break through your way of control first and show you the way of swordsmanship that my master passed down to me. As soon as Yu Dongfang finished speaking, more and more sword rays shot out from the sun-like light behind him. This was because none of the sword rays were destroyed by Duanling Tian's spatial energy anymore. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. In just a blink of an eye, the arena in the Devata realm had turned into a sea of golden sword rays under everyone's watchful eyes. Yu Dongfang's law of metal and various fused profundities were also fully displayed. Apart from the law of metal, there was also a mysterious energy that was fused with the sword rays that shone brilliantly. Sword Tao. Duanling Tian smiled faintly. If I'm not mistaken, this isn't a sword Tao at all. It's only a rudimentary form of a sword Tao. He had used his master Feng Qingyang's destruction sword Tao as a foundation to comprehend the space sword Tao. Therefore, he was very familiar with the progress of the sword Tao. For this reason, he could tell Yu Dongfang had only comprehended the rudimentary form of the sword Tao and had yet to master it. However, if the rudimentary form of the sword Tao was compatible with the profundities of Allah, it would still be able to unleash shocking power. Although Yu Dongfang's attack was still brewing, it still gave Duanling Tian some pressure. Naturally, it was only a little pressure. This little bit of pressure did not even cause Duanling Tian's expression to change. So what if it's just a rudimentary form of the sword Tao? I can still defeat you, someone who has mastered the sword Tao. Yu Dongfang smiled coldly. Then, the tens of thousands of sword rays that filled the sky quickly gathered together and transformed into a huge golden net that surrounded Duanling Tian and rapidly closed in on him. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The sound of sword whistling rang in the air. Under the watchful eyes of the others, the net of sword rays that surrounded Duanling Tian rapidly tightened. It seemed like it would not take long before Duanling Tian was trapped. Swoosh, swoosh. The sword rays that gathered from all directions gathered together as they neared Duanling Tian. In the end, it seemed as though Duanling Tian was trapped in a huge golden ball of light. Duanling Tian, this is the strongest attack that I can unleash at the moment. Even if a top 5-star war god is hit by this attack, I am confident that I can severely injure or even defeat him. Yu Dongfang's voice rang out again. And now you have already been hit. Once this was said, the entire crowd was in an uproar. Yu Dongfang's attack was shocking and seemed to shake the heavens and earth. Many people felt that his attack was not something that an ordinary 5-star war god could unleash. It was too terrifying. Even the 5-star war gods who were watching from the side could not help but become serious when they saw Yu Dongfang's attack. Duanling Tian has been hit. If Yu Dongfang was not bluffing about the power of his attack, he should have won. A top 5-star war god is going to be severely injured and defeated? With such an attack, even though Duanling Tian's Tao of control is profound, I'm afraid that he won't be able to block this attack. After all, he has only just mastered the Tao of control. Is Duanling Tian going to lose? Now, even the people who were originally full of confidence in Duanling Tian began to waver. They stared at Yu Dongfang carefully, trying to see if he was lying or boasting. However, the result disappointed them. Yu Dongfang really did not seem to be lying. Boom. Boom boom boom. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the golden ball of light that enveloped Duanling Tian exploded. A terrifying power exploded as if it was going to destroy the heavens and earth. If not for Su Konghai's timely intervention and suppressing the aftermath of the power, the young geniuses who were relatively close to it would have been injured. The golden ball of light that exploded emitted a dazzling light that made the eyes of the crowd hurt. After a while, they were able to look inside with great effort. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, there was not a single trace of the golden ball of light that exploded. Duanling Tian was killed by the explosion? Was he blown to smithereens? Just as many people saw that there was no one and thought that Duanling Tian had been completely destroyed by Yu Dongfang's attack, Yu Dongfang's brows furrowed. Even if this attack of his could kill Duanling Tian, it would not be able to leave no trace behind. Now, not only was there not a single scrap of Duanling Tian's robe in the air, there was not even a trace of blood, not even a trace of blood. There was also no storage ring. Many people felt that Yu Dongfang's attack just now was enough to destroy everything about Duanling Tian, including his storage ring. However, Yu Dongfang was very clear that he did not have the ability to do so. Duanling Tian is not dead. He's there. Just as Yu Dongfang's heart sank and all the nerves in his body tensed up, a cry of surprise sounded in his ears. Then, numerous gazes gathered above his head. Chapter 3508. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Duanling Tian appeared above Yu Dongfang's head, stepping on a gray sword. The sword looked very strange. As the sword flashed around it, the space around it twisted and folded as if it could draw upon the power of space. Suddenly, a sword ray shot out and a crack appeared in space. It was clearly visible and ferocious. How did you escape? Yu Dongfang looked at Duanling Tian with an ugly expression, his eyes filled with shock and disbelief. His technique had trapped Duanling Tian like an inescapable net. It had even shaken space and prevented Duanling Tian from teleporting. But now Duanling Tian had appeared outside. Was it teleportation? Or was it some other technique? Amazing! In the spectator seats, some young geniuses who saw Duanling Tian appear outside and completely avoid Yu Dongfang's technique exclaimed from the bottom of their hearts. There were also some young geniuses who didn't see through the trick, but when they saw this scene, they felt that it was natural for Duanling Tian to teleport out because he was skilled in the laws of space. It wasn't until Duanling Tian spoke that they realized how naive they were. Your technique is not bad. It affects space and restricts space so that I can't teleport. Duanling Tian stood in the void and looked indifferently at Yu Dongfang. If I hadn't mastered the space sword Dao, I wouldn't have been able to escape just now. I would have had to take your blow head on. Space sword Dao? Yu Dongfang's expression darkened. He hadn't expected that he wouldn't be able to restrain Duanling Tian's space sword Dao even though he'd restricted space and prevented Duanling Tian from teleporting. The space sword Dao not only contains the laws of space, but also the great Dao of the sword. Duanling Tian said indifferently, "You think I can't use the teleportation profundity because of your spatial restriction? However, you don't know I can use my sword Dao to break your spatial restriction before using the teleportation profundity. You actually used a single move to determine the victor? You've already made your move just now. Now it's my turn." As Duanling Tian's voice fell, Yu Dongfang's expression changed drastically. At the same time, the golden light on his body surged. In the blink of an eye, he seemed to have turned into a golden man. The scorching sun behind him had also completely merged into his body. Around his body, tens of thousands of golden sword rays shuttled back and forth. From afar, it looked like a layer of terrifying defense, surrounded by all kinds of defensive talismans. Obviously, Yu Dongfang was doing his best to stop Duanling Tian's next move. Duanling Tian is going to make a move? The scene in front of them caused the originally lively audience seats to become deathly silent. Numerous gazes landed on the arena one after another, looking at the purple-clothed young man who had an indifferent and carefree face. Unlike the purple-robed young man's indifference, Yu Dongfang's entire body was glowing with a golden light. It was as if a god had descended upon the world, illuminating all the darkness and making it impossible for the darkness to hide. In the next moment, Duanling Tian made his move. He did not make a big move as everyone had expected. He raised his hand and casually slapped down on Yu Dongfang. Bang! As his palm landed, there was a crisp sound. At the place where his palm landed, the void vibrated, then folded and twisted. Many clearly visible sword rays tore through the air and fell like shadows. These sword rays seemed to have become one with the void. They followed the path of the void's distortion, which was extremely strange. If one did not look closely, it would be difficult to see the traces of these sword rays. It hit. Under everyone's gaze, Duanling Tian's move finally landed on Yu Dongfang, who had been prepared for it. The golden light on Yu Dongfang's body surged at this moment. At the same time, the tens of thousands of sword rays around him converged, forming a solid barrier on the surface of his body that could block all external attacks. There were no fluctuations, no intense collision as everyone had expected. Puchi. Puchi. A soft sound was heard, which was extremely strange. The golden light on Yu Dongfang's body was as strong as before, but Duanling Tian's attack, the sword rays that swept through the void, seemed to ignore all of Yu Dongfang's defensive power. They easily passed through without triggering the defensive power. It was as if they were Yu Dongfang's own power, so they did not encounter any resistance. Under everyone's gaze, Yu Dongfang stood rooted to the ground, dumbfounded. He seemed to have lost his mind. The golden light on his body also gradually dissipated. The dazzling golden sword light gradually merged into his body and completely disappeared. In the next moment, Yu Dongfang's figure appeared. Hiss! The moment Yu Dongfang's figure appeared, many of the onlookers gasped in unison. Their eyes were filled with horror and shock. When they looked at Duan Lingtian again, their faces were filled with horror, as if they were looking at a ferocious beast. At this moment, Yu Dongfang's figure was covered in blood from head to toe. It was as if he was dyed in blood, and it looked like specks of red roses were sprinkling on the ground. As long as one looked carefully, it was not difficult to see that there were fine sword scars all over Yu Dongfang's body, including his face. There were many sword scars. If one looked deeper, Yu Dongfang would have died without a doubt. Yu Dongfang was stunned for a moment before he circulated his celestial origin energy to heal his injuries in front of everyone. Although there were many injuries, they were only superficial and healed in a short while. After his injuries were healed, Yu Dongfang changed into a new robe in front of everyone. When he looked at Duan Lingtian again, he was no longer as overbearing as before. Instead, his gaze was filled with complicated emotions. He knew Duan Lingtian had shown mercy earlier. Otherwise he would have died without a doubt. Thank you. Yu Dongfang spat out the two words with difficulty before he turned around and returned to the spectator seats. During this process, anyone who was paying attention to him could see the loneliness in his back. Yu Dongfang had been defeated. It was a complete and utter defeat. The crowd only glanced at Yu Dongfang's back before they shifted their attention to Duan Lingtian. Their eyes were filled with shock and horror. None of them had expected this young man who was only slightly over 600 years old to be so strong. So this is the only true disciple of the legendary Heavenly Emperor of the Solitary Destructive Heaven? I'm afraid only someone like him is qualified to be the only true disciple of the Heavenly Emperor of the Solitary Destructive Heaven. How terrifying. Yu Dongfang's technique is far stronger than an ordinary 5-star God of War's technique, but it was easily neutralized by Duan Lingtian. It seems like Duan Lingtian's strength is comparable to a top 5-star God of War. Otherwise, how could he have defeated Yu Dongfang so easily? Duan Lingtian's strength is only second to Huang Quan and among the 5-star gods of war who participated in the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses. This time, when Duan Lingtian made his move, his strength was even stronger than before. This made everyone realize that he was still concealing his strength. He had the strength of an elite 5-star God of War, and it was enough to suppress an ordinary 5-star God of War. Yu Dongfang was considered strong among the 5-star gods of war, but he was still defeated by Duan Lingtian. Did you notice? After revealing his strength as a 5-star God of War, Yu Dongfang lost 2 consecutive battles? I think so. First he met Huang Quanan and now he met Duan Lingtian. Why is he so unlucky? I think he's traumatized by all of this. When the atmosphere became a little heavy, some of the more optimistic people changed the topic and adjusted the atmosphere. Brother Feng Jr. Nephew Duan's strength is truly shocking. Is this his full strength? Ding Fu, the heavenly emperor of the primeval heaven, asked curiously as he looked at Feng Qingyang, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. However, he did not receive a reply from Feng Qingyang. Feng Qingyang only smiled faintly in response to Ding Fu's question. It's still not his full strength? Ding Fu was even more shocked when he saw this. Based on his understanding of Feng Qingyang, he knew Feng Qingyang was confident. How could he be so confident in his only true disciple? Duan Lingtian. I must possess him. On the other side of the small suspended island, Tathagata, also known as Mi Yen, stared at Duan Lingtian with gleaming eyes. The desire in the depths of his heart grew even stronger. Apart from being amazed by Duan Lingtian's strength, his desire to possess Duan Lingtian's body grew stronger. If he did not have any scruples, he would have charged into the arena and abducted Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian. The Tidal Temple must find a way to obtain him. Even Su Konghai, the Vice Palace Master of the Tidal Temple, who was presiding over the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses, was looking at Duan Lingtian calmly. However, he was inwardly shocked. Duan Lingtian's performance had exceeded his expectations. His mastery of the law of space and his mastery of the sword Dao was astounding. His mastery of the law of space and his mastery of the sword Dao was even more amazing. He was even able to dodge Yu Dongfang's attack. Even an ordinary 5-star God of War would not be able to dodge Yu Dongfang's attack. Duan Lingtian, I feel like you surprise me every time you make a move. Do you have any other trump cards? Tang Sanpao asked mockingly as soon as Duan Lingtian returned to the arena. Don't worry, I'll challenge you when it's my turn, Duan Lingtian said with a smile. Initially, Duan Lingtian thought Tang Sanpao would react to Duan Lingtian's words. However, Tang Sanpao merely looked at Duan Lingtian and said, I'll wait and see. At this moment, Tang Sanpao's aura seemed to have changed. He was no longer frivolous. Instead, he seemed much more serious. Number 10. Su Konghai spoke again. Only then did everyone's attention return to him. Number 10. It's Lu Shuyan. Lu Shuyan was the last 5-star god of war to display her strength in the Devata Realms Battle of the Geniuses. She was also a woman. Chapter 3509. A woman dressed in a loose gray robe entered the arena. She had a bamboo hat on her head, and her face was covered with a veil. She looked out of place. Perhaps this kind of attire was more suitable for a pitch-black night, rather than in broad daylight. I didn't expect there to be 2 female 5-star gods of war in the Devata Realms Battle of Geniuses this time. In the past, it was considered good if there was a female 5-star god of war in the Devata Realms Battle of Geniuses. Someone sighed as he looked at Lu Shuyan. The others agreed with his words as well. Although there were many female powerhouses in the Devata realms, and there were many female gods in the realms of gods as well, it was undeniable that women were weaker than men in terms of cultivation. This was something that had been decided since birth. Of course, the weakness mentioned here was only an overall comparison. Some female powerhouses were so talented that most men could not compare to them. Even the supreme powerhouses who stood at the pinnacle of heaven and earth had more than one female powerhouse. Who do you think Lu Shuyan will challenge? Seeing Lu Shuyan stepping onto the stage, many people became curious as to who Lu Shuyan would challenge. Naturally, Lu Shuyan would not be able to challenge Duan Lingtian since he had just fought with Duan Lingtian. Even if he did not seem to be exhausted, he would still be able to fight without a fight. Lu Shuyan hovered in the air as she glanced at the few 5-star gods of war. Finally, she fixed her eyes on one person. I challenge Yi Dongli, who's ranked 7th. Yi Dongli was the only female 5-star god of war in the Devata Realms Battle of Geniuses this year. Earlier, some people had been whispering among themselves, wondering if Lu Shuyan would challenge Yi Dongli. Many people thought it was highly possible since both of them were women. Moreover, Yi Dongli was ranked ahead of Lu Shuyan. It said that women are tigers. As expected, there can't be 2 tigers on one mountain. Tang Sanpao, who was sitting behind Duan Lingtian, said as he shook his head. As for Yi Dongli, faced with Lu Shuyan's challenge, she promptly moved forward and confronted Lu Shuyan from afar. Lu Shuyan, you shouldn't have challenged me. Yi Dongli's voice was calm and straightforward. So confident? Lu Shuyan's words were very brief. Her tone was indifferent. She was not affected by Yi Dongli's confidence in the slightest. Instead, her eyes were filled with battle intent. It was as if she was itching to immediately fight Yi Dongli. Come. When Yi Dongli spoke again, her body swayed, and lotuses appeared with every step she took. Streams of green light rose from under her feet, and then spread out, displaying a flourishing vitality. Yi Dongli was skilled in the laws of wood. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Following the sound of air being torn apart, the emerald green energy surged out from Yi Dongli's body. It turned into thick and powerful green vines that whizzed toward Lu Shuyan. The vines were like ferocious pythons, opening their bloody mouths and pouncing over. The fusion profundities of the laws of wood appeared. Facing Yi Dongli's first attack, Lu Shuyan's expression was calm. Soon after, as her clothes fluttered, cyan-colored wind blades started to sweep around her body. It was as if they had formed a small tornado. Furthermore, within this small tornado, there were also wind blades that were as sharp as knives and swords. Humph! Yi Dongli coldly snorted. After that, she controlled her vines to surround Lu Shuyan. She wanted to bind Lu Shuyan and suppress her. However, Lu Shuyan was not someone who was easy to deal with. With just a thought, wind blades filled the sky and met Yi Dongli's vines head-on. Soon after, the wind blades collided with Yi Dongli's vines. Under normal circumstances, the wind blades should be able to cut through the vines easily. However, the vines formed by Yi Dongli's laws of wood and celestial origin energy were not ordinary vines. No matter how the wind blades collided with them, they only left some scratches on the vines. Condense. Lu Shuyan's indifferent voice resounded through the air. Soon after, the crowd saw that as Lu Shuyan's voice faded, the numerous sharp wind blades that filled the sky condensed into a gigantic wind blade that flew towards the incoming vines. The gigantic wind blade slashed through the air, causing the air to stagnate for a moment. Then it cut through the vines that were in the lead and continued to attack the remaining vines. Whoosh, whoosh. Just as the wind blade was about to reach the vines, the crowd saw a dark green light flowing from Yi Dongli's body into the vines that were not cut through. In an instant, the vines seemed to be covered in a layer of dark green clothing. There were also sharp thorns that flickered with cold light, giving off a sharp and tough feeling. Lu Shiyin swung the gigantic wind blade again. When it landed on the vines, it produced a series of ear-piercing and crisp sounds. At the same time, sparks flew from the point of collision. It was as though two iron weapons were colliding violently. "You have some skills," Lu Shiyin exclaimed in surprise. Then she made her move. Her body merged with the wind and whistled as she charged forward. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. At this moment, in the eyes of those who were not even five-star gods of war, it was as though Lu Shiyin had disappeared into thin air. They could only hear the whistling of the wind when she moved. Even the five-star gods of war could only see a series of afterimages. Fast. Too fast. Many people cried out in surprise. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Just when everyone thought that Yi Dongli would be unable to hit Lu Shiyin and would fall into a passive state, the vines that were originally attacking Lu Shiyin retracted. In the blink of an eye, they had surrounded Yi Dongli and formed a cage made of vines. Although it appeared as though Yi Dongli was trapped within the cage, it was actually an indestructible defense. The dark green skin of the vines and the sharp thorns on the skin were still flickering with an ice-cold luster. Clang, 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 clang. Lu Shiyin rushed over as if she had turned into wind. Bursts of powerful energy whizzed out and landed on the cage made ear-piercing sounds. However, they were unable to break through the cage's defense. "You are very strong. If I don't use an immortal weapon, it will be difficult for me to defeat you." Yi Dongli, who was in the cage, stared at Lu Shiyin outside and slowly spoke. "You're not the only one who has an immortal weapon." Lu Shiyin was not to be outdone. At the same time, she raised her hand and a scarlet 3-foot-long sword appeared in her hand. As she swung the sword, a scarlet red liquid seemed to be flowing on the surface of the sword. The tip of the sword was sharp and it shone with a terrifying light. Naturally, it was an Emperor-grade celestial weapon. "My celestial weapon is different from your celestial weapon." As Yi Dongli spoke again, a dark green whip appeared in her hand. The whip was 5 meters long and as it danced, it was like a venomous python constantly wriggling its body. Following that, Yi Dongli's eyes narrowed and her hand trembled. Then an image appeared from the whip. Surprisingly, it was an image that resembled a python. After it appeared, it stared at Lu Shiyin coldly. "Weapon spirit?" Lu Shiyin's expression changed drastically. She did not expect Yi Dongli's Emperor-grade celestial weapon to possess a weapon spirit. Heavens! The onlookers were shocked as well. None of them expected Yi Dongli to possess an Emperor-grade celestial weapon with a weapon spirit. Up until now, only a few Emperor-grade celestial weapons had appeared in the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses. Most of the Emperor-grade celestial weapons had appeared in the hands of young geniuses with prominent backgrounds. If it was not for the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses, they would not have heard of Yi Dongli at all. However, since she possessed an Emperor-grade celestial weapon with a weapon spirit, it was clear she had an extraordinary background. Even if she was a sectless cultivator who lived in seclusion, there was no doubt she had an extraordinary senior backing her up. After all, it was not easy to obtain an Emperor-grade celestial weapon with a weapon spirit. It was as difficult as obtaining a Devata artifact. Naturally, the Devata artifact referred to the Devata artifact without a weapon spirit. Even if it was a primitive Devata artifact, a Devata artifact with a weapon spirit could not be compared to an Emperor-grade celestial weapon with a weapon spirit. The weapon spirit of an Emperor-grade celestial weapon was forcibly refined from a foreign being. On the other hand, the weapon spirit of a Devata artifact was naturally born. Naturally, some Devata artifact's weapon spirit was transferred from another Devata artifact's weapon spirit. For example, Huang Er, the sword spirit of Duan Lingtian's prominent Devata artifact, the Seven Orifices exquisite sword. In the past, Huang Er was the weapon spirit of Ling Jueyun's sister's prominent Devata artifact. Her master is a god. It's only natural for her to possess an Emperor-grade celestial weapon. After all, Tang Sanpao had told Duan Lingtian and the others that Yi Dongli's master was a god. Therefore they were not surprised to see Yi Dongli taking out an Emperor-grade celestial weapon. In fact, they felt it was only natural for her to possess an Emperor-grade celestial weapon. For celestials, An emperor-grade celestial weapon with a weapon spirit was extremely precious. However, it was nothing to a god. In fact, as long as a god wanted to, even if he was not a celestial weapon craftsman, it would be easy for him to refine an emperor-grade celestial weapon using the divine flame condensed from his divine energy. He could even capture a powerful being and make it the weapon spirit of the emperor-grade celestial weapon. Unless Lu Suyen is concealing her true strength. Otherwise, there's no doubt about the outcome of this battle. Su Li said. What happened next was just as Su Li had expected. After Yi Dongli took out her emperor-grade celestial weapon, Yi Dongli quickly gained the upper hand and defeated Lu Suyen. In fact, Lu Suyen's strength was on par with Yi Dongli even without using her celestial weapon. However, Yi Dongli still managed to defeat Lu Suyen with her celestial weapon. If I had such a celestial weapon, I wouldn't have lost to you. Although Lu Suyen was defeated, a hint of unwillingness could be seen in her eyes. Thank you for letting me win. Yi Dongli smiled faintly before she turned around and returned to her seat. Another battle between the 5-star gods of war had ended. 9th place Huang Quanan. Soon after, Su Konghai's voice rang in the air. Literature Center. Chapter 3510. Huang Quanan. This young genius was also an unknown figure in the past. If he hadn't drawn Yu Dongfang as his opponent in the previous stage and displayed his strength, no one would have known that he had such strength. He was skilled in the law of time and had mastered the time laws a thought. Rumor had it that even those who had mastered the time laws a thought were invincible against those below the level of a 6-star god of war. Without the strength of a 6-star god of war, it would be difficult to resist his thought. It's Huang Quanan's turn. After all, no one was certain who would come in first place in the Devata Realms battle of the geniuses between Huang Quan and Yu Dongfang. However, many people felt Huang Quan had the ability to rank first in the Devata Realms battle of the geniuses. With Huang Quan's a thought, apart from a 6-star god of war, no one is a match for him. I think Huang Quan is definitely going to rank first in the Devata Realms battle of the geniuses. Huang Quan is too strong. It won't be difficult for him to rank first unless there's a 6-star god of war or stronger in the Devata Realms battle of the geniuses. A 6-star god of war? Is that possible? A 6-star god of war is considered a top-notch expert under the command of a heavenly emperor in a Devata realm. Some heavenly emperors only have 1 or 2 6-star gods of war. Although the crowd had mentioned a 6-star god of war, none of them thought there would be a 6-star god of war in the Devata Realms battle of the geniuses this time. After all, such a situation was rare in the past. In the history of the Devata Realms battle of the geniuses, there were less than 10 6-star gods of war who were younger than 1,000 years old. What did that mean? The Devata Realms battle of the geniuses was held once every 1,000 years, 10 times every 10,000 years, 100 times every 100,000 years, 1,000 times every 1 million years, and 10,000 times every 10 million years. The history of the Devata Realms battle of the geniuses was at least 1 million years old. Naturally, only the people in the Tidal Temple knew the details. If the history of the Devata realm was more than 1 million years old, there were less than 10 6-star gods of war who were younger than 1,000 years old. There were less than 10 people in more than 1,000 Devata Realms battles of geniuses. On average, there would only be 1 6-star god of war under the age of 1,000 in every 100 Devata Realms battles of geniuses. The 100th Devata Realm battle of geniuses was equivalent to 100,000 years. 1 in 100,000 years. The probability of this happening was too small. Would he appear in the Devata Realms battle of the geniuses in their era? No one dared to think too much, because this was something infinitely close to impossible. For this reason, nobody thought there would be a 6-star god of war in the Devata Realms battle of geniuses. The probability of that happening was close to 0. Whoosh. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the unprepossessing Huang Quanan flew into the arena. Huang Quanan, who do you want to challenge? Even Su Konghai, who usually had a serious face, looked at Huang Quanan with a bit more enthusiasm. His eyes flickered and no one knew what he was thinking. Could this Huang Quanan be the trump card of the Tidal Temple? Duan Lingtian, who was sitting in the spectator's seat, thought to himself. At the same time, he did not forget to inform his master, Feng Qingyang, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, of his thoughts. I don't think so. Feng Qingyang replied, many things can't be faked. For example, the way Su Konghai looks at Huang Quanan is different from the way he looks at Huang Quanan now. He's very polite to Huang Quanan now. If Huang Quanan is really the Tidal Temple's trump card, there's no way he would be so polite to Huang Quanan now. I think Huang Quanan is just a young prodigy. There must be someone else in the Tidal Temple's trump card. Feng Qingyang said. Someone else? After listening to Feng Qingyang's words, Duan Lingtian could not help but look at the remaining 5-star gods of war. Out of the 11 5-star gods of war, only he and Ling Jueyun could be excluded. Therefore there were only 9 people left. It was unlikely that Huang Quanan was the Tidal Temple's trump card, and it was unlikely that Lu Xuyen was the Tidal Temple's trump card. Therefore there were only 7 people left. Apart from Yu Dongfang there were only 6 people left. Zhong Guiyu, Tang Sanpao, Zhou Yongqi, Yi Dongli, Hong Yuan, Sima Rue. Duan Lingtian quickly eliminated one of the 6 people. Zhou Yongqi is the direct disciple of the Qi Hongtian Emperor, Zhou Binggu. It's unlikely that he's the Tidal Temple's trump card. Therefore there are only 5 people left. Zhong Guiyu, Tang Sanpao, Yi Dongli, Hong Yuan and Sima Rue. Hong Yuan and Sima Rue are both from the Tidal Temple, so it's not surprising that he's one of them. However, Zhong Guiyu, Tang Sanpao, and Yi Dongli have mysterious backgrounds. Moreover, they're all sectless cultivators. With this thought in mind, Duan Lingtian sent a voice transmission to his master, Feng Qingyang, again. Master, do you think Tang Sanpao is the trump card of the Tidal Temple? His master, do you know him? Although I know his master and know that he's a reclusive celestial, I'm not sure if his master is related to the Tidal Temple. The Tidal Temple has been around for a long time. There are some powerhouses who don't hold any positions in the Tidal Temple and live in seclusion. It's not impossible that he's a member of the Tidal Temple. This was Feng Qingyang's reply to Duan Lingtian. For a time, the trump card of the Tidal Temple seemed even more mysterious. At the very least, Duan Lingtian had no idea who the trump card of the Tidal Temple was. Duan Lingtian decided on 5 people. Zhong Guiyu, Tang Sanpao, Yi Dongli, Hong Yuan and Sima Rue. Among these 5 people, Duan Lingtian did not think Yi Dongli was the trump card of the Tidal Temple. After all, he did not see any signs of Yi Dongli holding back during her battle with Lu Suyen. Moreover, Yi Dongli had used the weapon spirit of her Emperor-grade celestial weapon. If she really had strength to spare, there was no need for her to use the weapon spirit of her Emperor-grade celestial weapon, since it could be used as a trump card. Since she had used the weapon spirit as a trump card, it meant there was nothing else she could do. For this reason, Duan Lingtian did not think Yi Dongli could be the trump card of the Tidal Temple. With this, only 4 people were left. They were Zhong Guiyu, Tang Sanpao, Hong Yuan and Sima Rue. Tang Sanpao was the person whom Duan Lingtian had known the longest among the 4. He could be considered a friend. However, he was wary of this friend who had suddenly appeared out of nowhere. It was not that Duan Lingtian was overly suspicious. It was just that Tang Sanpao's friendliness was too different from Tang Sanpao's strength. Just as Zhang Tianyu had said, Sanpao didn't look like a powerhouse in front of them at all. If Huang Quanan challenges Zhong Guiyu and defeats him, we can eliminate Zhong Guiyu from the Tidal Temple. Duan Lingtian turned to look at Huang Quanan, who was standing in the middle of the square. At this moment, Huang Quanan finally made up his mind and said, I challenge Zhong Guiyu, who's in first place. Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up when he heard Huang Quanan's words. An uproar broke out among the crowd. Huang Quanan is really going to challenge Zhong Guiyu. It's not hard to guess. With Huang Quanan's strength, anyone below a 6-star god of war is no threat to him. It doesn't matter who he defeats. Why not defeat the person who's currently in the front? After Huang Quanan spoke, most people felt that Huang Quanan was going to win. However, there were also a small number of people who were hopeful that Zhong Guiyu might be a 6-star god of war. Duan Lingtian was also one of the people who thought he would be lucky. If Zhong Guiyu displayed the strength of a 6-star god of war in front of Huang Quanan, it meant that he was the trump card of the Tidal Temple. If he lost to Huang Quanan, it meant that he was not the trump card of the Tidal Temple. Whoosh. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Zhong Guiyu's figure flashed as she entered the arena like a bolt of lightning. She looked at Huang Quanan and said in an incomparably solemn tone, Originally, I should admit defeat. However, I still want to personally experience the vicissitudes of a single thought. As soon as he finished speaking, a blazing light rose from Zhong Guiyu's body. Not only did it seem to be able to illuminate all the darkness in the world, it even seemed to be able to annihilate everything. As you wish. Huang Quanan also made his move when Zhong Guiyu took the initiative to attack. First, he froze Zhong Guiyu's movement. Even the blazing light on Zhong Guiyu's body suddenly stopped. It was as if a picture of a burning flame had been taken and froze at that moment. After a while, time returned to normal. When Zhong Guiyu regained his senses, Huang Quanan's vicissitudes of a thought had also arrived. In the blink of an eye, it entered Zhong Guiyu's body. During this process, Zhong Guiyu did not even have the chance to react. Just like that, Zhong Guiyu followed in Yu Dongfang's footsteps. He turned from a young man to an old man in the blink of an eye. Do you still want to continue? Huang Quanan asked with a smile as he looked at the old Zhong Guiyu. Many people in the audience gasped. Huang Quanan's harmless smile caused everyone's hair to stand on end when they saw it. This fellow could freeze a person's time with just a smile. Moreover, he could turn a person from a young man into an old man with one foot in the grave. His methods were so strange that it made one's heart tremble. I admit defeat. A bitter smile appeared on Zhong Guiyu's old face. I can't block your law of time at all. It's not him. When Zhong Guiyu admitted defeat, most of the people in the audience looked calm. They were not surprised at all. However, Duan Lingtian eliminated Zhong Guiyu from the list again. Zhong Guiyu was not the trump card of the title temple. As such, there were only 3 people left who were the most suspicious: Tang Sanpao, Hong Yuan, and Sima Rui. 8th place, Hong Yuan, go up and challenge the person ranked before you. Su Konghai's voice sounded again. Chapter 35:11. Hong Yuan was a young prodigy nurtured by the title temple. As soon as Hong Yuan entered the arena, Duan Lingtian turned to look at him. If Hong Yuan is really the title temple's trump card, he should be challenging Huang Quanan, who's ranked first, and replacing him. There's no need for him to continue hiding in this round. Moreover, the trump card of the title temple might not be hiding anything. It's just that no one has been able to force him to use his full strength yet. If Hong Yuan is the trump card of the title temple, he won't be able to continue hiding it when he's facing Huang Quanan. His master, Feng Qingyang, had speculated that the trump card of the title temple was a 6-star god of war. It was also his speculation. Now he was even more certain that his speculation was correct. This was because even though Huang Quanan had appeared, the vice-temple master of the main hall, Su Konghai, and the other temple masters of the title temple's sub-halls did not seem worried at all. It was as though they were not worried that Huang Quanan would pose a threat to the trump card of the title temple. At that time, Duan Lingtian was certain. There was no doubt the trump card of the title temple was a 6-star god of war. Will Hong Yuan challenge Huang Quanan? Duan Lingtian's heart jolted when everyone was wondering who Hong Yuan would challenge, and a hint of curiosity appeared in his eyes at the right time. If Hong Yuan were to challenge Huang Quanan, it would mean he was most likely the hidden trump card of the title temple. If Hong Yuan were to challenge Huang Quanan and win, it would mean he was most likely the hidden trump card of the title temple. If he didn't challenge Huang Quanan without any other convincing reason, it was very likely that he wasn't the hidden trump card of the title temple. At the same time, Hong Yuan, who had entered the arena, said, "I'll challenge Zhou Yongqi, who is ranked 5th. In the end, Hong Yuan did not challenge the current first-place Huang Quanan, the second-place Zhong Guiyu, the third-place Tang Sanpao, and the fourth-place Duan Lingtian. Instead, he chose to challenge the 5th-place Zhou Yongqi. Zhou Yongqi was originally in 4th place, but because of Huang Quanan's successful challenge, Zhong Guiyu, who was previously in 1st place, fell by 1 place, and the people behind him also fell by 1 place. Therefore he was currently ranked 5th. It seems like he's not the trump card of the title temple. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. If Hong Yuan was the trump card of the title temple, he wouldn't have challenged Zhou Yongqi. It would have been a waste of time. As long as he defeated Huang Quanan and replaced him, he would be able to intimidate most of the young prodigies. The reason he said that he would be able to intimidate most of the young prodigies and not all of them was because he would not be intimidated by others. If he's not Hong Yuan, then there are only 2 people who are most likely to be the trump card. One is Sima Rui, the young prodigy nurtured by the title temple, and the other is Tang Sanpao. With this thought in mind, Duan Lingtian turned to look at Tang Sanpao. When Tang Sanpao saw Duan Lingtian looking at him, he asked curiously, "What's wrong?" "Nothing." Duan Lingtian shook his head before he turned to look at Duan Lingtian again. Between Sima Rui and Tang Sanpao, Duan Lingtian was more inclined to believe Sima Rui was the latter. Unlike Sima Rui, Tang Sanpao always gave Duan Lingtian a feeling that he could not see through him. Moreover, his personality had changed a lot. Usually he acted like a friendly person, but when he displayed his shocking strength in the arena, he acted like an expert. At the same time, Hong Yuan began to fight Zhou Yongqi, whom he had challenged. As the last disciple of the Qi Hongtian Emperor, Zhou Yongqi was, naturally, not a simple person. In the face of Hong Yuan, who had challenged him, he was evenly matched with Hong Yuan in a short period of time. However, after a few dozen moves, Hong Yuan was defeated by Zhou Yongqi even though he had displayed strength that was slightly stronger than before. Zhou Yongqi had also concealed his strength previously. Number 8. After Hong Yuan, it was the turn of the current number 8, the former number 7 Yi Dongli. After Yi Dongli entered the arena, she swept her gaze across the arena. After she glanced at Duan Ling Tian, her gaze finally landed on Ling Jueyun. I challenge Ling Jueyun, who is ranked 6th. Ling Jueyun was originally ranked 5th. However, after Huang Quanan defeated Zhong Guiyu and replaced him, his ranking dropped to 6th. In the face of Yi Dongli's challenge, Ling Jueyun's expression was as cold as ever. Ling Jueyun, are you confident? Tang Sanpao asked when Ling Jueyun stood up. Does she have an emperor-grade celestial weapon with an artifact spirit? However, Ling Jueyun ignored Tang Sanpao and directly attacked Yi Dongli. Yi Dongli was infuriated. Ling Jueyun, you're the most ungentlemanly man I've ever met. Ling Jueyun ignored her and continued to attack Yi Dongli. In just a blink of an eye, he was about to suppress Yi Dongli. After Yi Dongli was at a disadvantage, she no longer hesitated and took out her emperor-grade celestial weapon with an artifact spirit. Even so, she was still defeated by Ling Jueyun. After Duan Ling Tian and Huang Quanan, Ling Jueyun displayed the strength of a top 5-star god of war. Heavens! I didn't expect Ling Jueyun to be so strong as well. I came here with Ling Jueyun from Feng Qingtian's title temple. I thought he was only a 3-star god of war. I didn't expect him to be so strong. Now he's even a top 5-star god of war. Ling Jueyun and Duan Ling Tian are second only to Huang Quanan. If nothing goes wrong, they'll be second and third after Huang Quanan. After Ling Jueyun displayed the strength of a top 5-star god of war, a commotion broke out among the crowd. It was comparable to the commotion caused by Duan Ling Tian defeating Yu Dongfeng. Ling Jueyun, do you have a cultivation partner? After being defeated by Ling Jueyun, the anger on Yi Dongli's face quickly disappeared. She asked loudly as she watched Ling Jueyun leave. As soon as she asked, the atmosphere of the scene was stirred up. Many people even shouted, "Together," as if they wanted to see the world in chaos. Ling Jueyun paused for a moment on his way back. Then he continued walking without looking back. Ling Jueyun, I think Yi Dongli isn't bad. Why don't you consider her? When Ling Jueyun returned, Su Li couldn't help but laugh. Let's spar? When Ling Jueyun spoke, the smile on Su Li's face froze. If he were to spar with Ling Jueyun now, it would be no different from asking for a beating. Looks like you've improved a lot over the years. Duan Ling Tian looked at Ling Jueyun and sighed. It won't be easy to surpass you, Ling Jueyun said. Duan Ling Tian only smiled faintly when he heard Duan Ling Tian's words. He did not reply as he shifted his attention back to the stage. After Ling Jueyun successfully defended his position against Yi Dongli, who was ranked 8th, it was Sima Rue's turn to challenge those who were ranked higher. However, since Ling Jueyun, who was ranked 6th, had just been challenged, Sima Rue could not challenge him now. There were only 5 targets he could choose from: Huang Quan and Zhong Guiyu, Tang Sanpao, Duan Ling Tian and Zhou Yongqi. Perhaps the title temple's trump card will be revealed soon. Duan Ling Tian thought to himself as he looked at Sima Rue. Sima Rue was a young genius nurtured by the title temple, just like Hong Yuan. Between him and Tang Sanpao, one of them was most likely the hidden trump card of the title temple, the trump card that would be awarded the exploding element immortal fruit. Duan Lingtian's judgment of Sima Rue was similar to Hong Yuan's judgment of Sima Rue. If Sima Rue was the title temple's trump card, he would definitely challenge Huang Quanan, who was ranked 1st. However, if he was not, he would not challenge Huang Quanan. I'll challenge Zhong Guiyu, who is ranked 2nd. Duan Lingtian dismissed Sima Rue when he heard Sima Rue's words. He was certain that Tang Sanpao, who was sitting behind him, was the title temple's trump card. Tang Sanpao, are you confident you can defeat Ling Jueyun? Duan Lingtian asked as he turned to look at Tang Sanpao. Tang Sanpao was taken aback by Duan Lingtian's question. Then he smiled and asked, why are you suddenly asking this? You've hidden it well. Duan Lingtian looked at Tang Sanpao meaningfully before he said something that the others did not understand. What are you talking about? Tang Sanpao was taken aback by Duan Lingtian's question. The exploding element celestial fruit. Duan Lingtian mentioned the exploding element celestial fruit that the winner of the Devata Realms Battle of Geniuses would be able to obtain. Upon hearing this, Su Li and the others were even more confused. Why did Duan Lingtian suddenly mention this? You've discovered it? Tang Sanpao's eyes flashed. In an instant, his aura changed once again. He was no longer as frivolous as before. Instead, he was cold and unapproachable. It seems like I'm right. Duan Ling Tian smiled indifferently. Why did you approach us? To know yourself and your enemy? Do I need to? Tang Sanpao asked. You're very confident. Duan Ling Tian said with a smile. I'm all right. However, you and Ling Jueyin aren't too bad either. So far, I can't tell if you've done your best or not. Tang Sanpao said. We'll find out soon, right? I'll wait and see. The strange conversation between Duan Ling Tian and Tang Sanpao caused the atmosphere to become awkward. Su Li could not help but ask Duan Ling Tian through voice transmission. Duan Ling Tian, what are you talking about with Tang Sanpao? Su Li, he's the trump card of the Tidal Temple. Although Duan Ling Tian was certain Tang Sanpao was the trump card of the Tidal Temple, he did not dare to be certain. Perhaps he was wrong. However, at this moment he was certain. Tang Sanpao was the trump card of the Tidal Temple. What? Su Li had heard about the trump card of the Tidal Temple from Duan Ling Tian. He had also paid attention to it, but he did not pay as much attention to it as Duan Ling Tian. Chapter 35:12. Was Tang Sanpao the hidden trump card of the titled God Emperor? He was suspected to be a six-star god of war? Upon hearing Duan Ling Tian's reminder, Su Li could not help but turn to look at Tang Sanpao. He saw that Duan Ling Tian and Tang Sanpao's aura seemed to have changed drastically. It was the same as when he had displayed the strength of a five-star god of war in the arena. He was no longer his usual self. Bang! A loud noise attracted Su Li's attention. Sima Rue and Zhong Guiyu had exchanged blows. One was ranked 7th while the other was ranked 2nd. If Sima Rue won, he would be able to replace Zhong Guiyu. Duan Ling Tian glanced at Tang Sanpao again. Then he retracted his gaze. His heart was as calm as still water. He had not reached the point where he could confide in Tang Sanpao. Even though he knew that Sima Rue was the final trump card of the Tidal Temple, he did not feel much. The only emotion he felt was pride? Pride. Even if Tang Sanpao did not approach them entirely because he wanted to find out more about them, it was definitely part of the reason. Even if Tang Sanpao did not want to admit it, it was useless. Sima Rue can't do it? He is at a disadvantage. As Duan Ling Tian's thoughts spun abruptly, the sighs of the nearby young geniuses sounded out by his ears, and he focused his gaze to look at the battlefield. Only now did he notice that after the battle between Sima Rue and Zhong Guiyu, Sima Rue had fallen into a disadvantage. Moreover, after 10 moves, Sima Rue could no longer hold on and was defeated by Zhong Guiyu. I lost. After Hong Yuan, another young 5-star god of war from the Tidal Temple had failed his challenge. Zhong Guiyu was ranked 2nd. 6th place Ling Jueyun. After Sima Rue was defeated by Zhong Guiyu, Su Konghai, the vice palace master of the Tidal Temple's main palace, who was in charge of overseeing the battle of geniuses in the Devata realms, announced. Everyone's attention shifted from Zhong Guiyu to Ling Jueyun immediately. Ling Jueyun flew up into the air under everyone's watchful eyes. Before he flew up, he glanced at Duan Ling Tian and sent a voice transmission to Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian smiled faintly and replied, all right. Whoosh. In just a blink of an eye, Ling Jueyun appeared like a ghost. Let's pick our opponent. Su Konghai's expression softened when he saw Ling Jueyun's expression. He was no longer as stern and cold as he was when he was in front of Hong Yuan and Sima Rue. As soon as Su Konghai finished speaking, Ling Jueyun's indifferent voice rang in the air. Huang Quan En. These 3 short words caused the entire place to become completely silent. Huang Quan En. Approximately a moment later, the group of young geniuses who had fallen into a daze gradually recovered their senses. Some of them even rose to their feet and exclaimed in shock, Ling Jueyun wants to challenge Huang Quan En? Heavens! Is he really confident, or is he just testing Huang Quan En's strength? Is there a need to test him? Huang Quan En is an expert in the law of time, and he has mastered the age in one thought. He's invincible among those below the 6-star god of war. It's impossible for anyone below the 6-star god of war to be a match for him. Is it possible that Ling Jueyun is a 6-star god of war? Not necessarily. Perhaps he doesn't intend to win. He just wants to test Huang Quan En's strength. At this moment, the young geniuses were not the only ones who were shocked by Ling Jueyun's challenge. Many heavenly emperors and high-ranking officials from the various Tidal temples were shocked as well. Based on the strength Ling Jueyun had displayed earlier, they could tell he was a top 5-star god of war. However, that was the extent of his strength. Moreover, based on Ling Jueyun's strength, it was almost impossible for him to conceal his strength. Was he a 6-star god of war? Or was he just testing Huang Quan? What do you think? I can't see through him. Let's wait and see. Many heavenly emperors began to discuss among themselves. However, most of them shook their heads, indicating they did not dare to jump to conclusions. None of the heavenly emperors dared to jump to conclusions, afraid they would be embarrassed by the results. Ling Jueyan. He's really good at hiding his strength. Aguimo, the palace master of Fengqing Tian Subhall of the Tidal Temple and an 8-star god of war, could not help but shake his head and sigh as he looked at Ling Jueyun. It said that Duan Ling Tian and Su Li's innate talent and comprehension ability are heaven-defying for them to have such achievements even though they're not even 700 years old. I'm afraid they'll never expect Ling Jueyun is not even 700 years old. Aguimo sighed inwardly. I Aguimo, have not lived in vain to be able to bring such a young genius from Fengqing Tian to participate in the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses. In the past, the most outstanding young geniuses I've brought to participate in the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses were only ordinary 5-star gods of war. Ling Jueyun is the first one who's as strong as him. I wonder if he's really a 6-star god of war. If he is, this glory is enough for me to brag about for the rest of my life. Aguimo's eyes lit up as he looked at Ling Jueyun. In the depths of his sparkling eyes, there was also a strong sense of anticipation. Swoosh. Under the watchful eyes of the others, Huang Quan and left the spectator area and stood up to face Ling Jueyun. Huang Quanin, who was not good-looking, looked at Ling Jueyun solemnly. It was obvious he did not dare to underestimate Ling Jueyun. I'm afraid this battle will be the most exciting battle since the beginning of the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses. The group of young geniuses stared at Huang Quan and Huang Quan intently, afraid they would miss the exciting battle. Brother Feng. Ding Fu, the heavenly emperor of the primeval heaven, looked at Feng Qingyang who was sitting opposite him and asked with a smile, Ling Jueyun is junior nephew Duan's good friend. You should know him well, right? Do you think he has a chance of winning this battle? Upon hearing Ding Fu's question, Feng Qingyang shook his head slightly. Although he's little Tian's friend, I've never met him before so I don't know much about him. However, since he dares to challenge Huang Quan, it means he's confident in his strength. Of course, it could also be as many people have said. He knows that he's no match for Huang Quanan, so he challenged Huang Quanan to see the gap between him and Huang Quanan. After all, even if he loses the battle, it won't affect him much. After Ling Jueyun's defeat, he would not be able to challenge Huang Quan again. However, he would be free to challenge anyone else. This was the same as if he did not challenge Huang Quanan. Of course, if he challenged Huang Quan, other than the possibility of losing, he might also be injured. Therefore, there was no need for the other young 5-star gods of war to challenge Huang Quan, and even if they knew they were no match for him, it would not be worth it if they were injured. Now that Ling Jueyun had challenged Huang Quan, many people were impressed by his courage. Make your move. Ling Jueyun looked at Huang Quanin and said indifferently, otherwise I'm afraid you won't have the chance to make your move. No one expected that Ling Jueyun would be the first to speak after the confrontation between the two of them. An uproar immediately broke out in the crowd. Ling Jueyun is really arrogant. Look at him, it seems like he's really confident. Is he really that strong? Many people looked at Ling Jueyun skeptically when they heard his arrogant tone. Huang Quanan's strength was obvious to all. He was adept in the law of time and his vicissitudes of time technique could cause one's hair to turn white instantly. Although Ling Jueyun's strength was also very strong and was comparable to a top 5-star god of war, he was not as intimidating as Huang Quanan. Huang Quanan's techniques were too mysterious and intimidating. All right. However, unlike the crowd who were skeptical and disapproving, Huang Quanan, who was the person involved, looked solemn in the face of Ling Jueyun's arrogance. He did not dare to be negligent. In the next moment, the energy in his body spread out. He opened his mouth and spat out a breath. It shrouded the area where Ling Jueyun was standing. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Ling Jueyun's body froze. Not only did his expression freeze, but even the robe on his body stopped moving. It was as if he was frozen at that moment and was locked in time. That was the truth. Swoosh, swoosh. The moment Ling Jueyun's body froze, Huang Quan continued to attack. A ray of light shot out from each of his eyes. It whizzed out and shot toward Ling Jueyun. This scene caused the hearts of the crowd to tremble. It was too familiar. It's vicissitudes of time. The technique that Huang Quan used was the technique that killed Yu Dongfang and Zhong Guiyu in an instant. The two of them could not fight back in front of Huang Quan's technique. Can Ling Jueyun withstand it? Many people stared at Ling Jueyun. Anyone could see that Ling Jueyun was completely confined by the law of time and could not move at all. He's going to hit. If he is hit, he will be crippled. Ling Jueyun is going to be defeated? While everyone's hearts were in their mouths, Huang Quan'an's vicissitudes of a thought finally entered Ling Jueyun's body. As a result, Ling Jueyun's body trembled. It's over. Ling Jueyun is going to be defeated. Most people thought that Ling Jueyun was going to be crippled. Only a few people, including Duan Lingtian, had their eyes lit up. Huang Quan'an's originally grave expression did not ease up at this moment. Instead, it changed abruptly. What's going on? At this moment, many people came back to their senses because they noticed something. Did you guys notice? Ling Jueyun does not show any signs of aging? What's going on? Previously, in such a short period of time, Yu Dongfang and Zhong Guiyu had already become old men over 70 years old. However, why is there no change in Ling Jueyun? He has clearly been hit. Look, Ling Jueyun's eyes are not normal. While the crowd was still in shock over Ling Jueyun's appearance, some sharp-eyed people noticed that Ling Jueyun's eyes had turned red. They were completely red, and they didn't contain any emotion or luster. Chapter 35:13. That's not Ling Jueyun. That's Ling Jueyun's undead doppelganger. At this time, more and more people realized this. Undead doppelganger profundity, also known as death doppelganger profundity, was one of the profundities of the law of death. Now, after realizing that this was Ling Jueyun's doppelganger, everyone present, be it the celestial, the arch, or the ordinary young geniuses, was shocked. How did he do it? Just now we couldn't tell that it was his death doppelganger at all. Nonsense. If we could tell, do you think Huang Quan'an would be so stupid to use vicissitudes of a thought on his death doppelganger? Even Huang Quan'an was fooled. What kind of technique is this? Even a 6-star god of war who is proficient in the law of death might not be able to fool everyone with just a death doppelganger, right? He must have used some kind of secret technique. Ling Jueyun's death doppelganger did not appear when Huang Quan'an used vicissitudes of a thought and time imprisonment. At the very least, it did not look like a death doppelganger. However, after Huang Quan'an used vicissitudes of a thought, he became a death doppelganger. Even a 6-star god of war, 7-star god of war, 8-star god of war, or even a 9-star god of war who was proficient in the law of death might not be able to use such a technique. This was because although the law of death had the doppelganger profundity, it usually came out of the body and could not replace the body at all. There was no way to replace the body, so there was no way to replace the body. Now, Ling Jueyun had clearly used the method of replacing the body with the death doppelganger to receive Huang Quan'an's vicissitudes of a thought. As for the time imprisonment from before, it was indeed his main body that was imprisoned. Apart from vicissitudes of a thought, do you have any other techniques? Just as everyone was shocked, the crimson color in the eyes of Ling Jueyun's death doppelganger faded, and it completely returned to its original body. It was as if it could freely switch between its original body and death doppelganger. So, almost as soon as Ling Jueyun's voice fell, Huang Quan'an used his time imprisonment again. Before Ling Jueyun had time to react, Ling Jueyun was once again imprisoned. As he imprisoned Ling Jueyun, his eyes narrowed, and the vicissitudes of life appeared once more. This time, everyone witnessed it with their own eyes. The instant before vicissitudes of thought landed on Ling Jueyun's body, Ling Jueyun's eyes turned scarlet once again. Vicissitudes of thought landed on Ling Jueyun's death clone again, but it had no effect. It's useless. When the power of vicissitudes of a thought disappeared like a stone in the ocean, Ling Jueyun's doppelganger returned to his original body. He looked at Huang Quan'an with an indifferent gaze. No matter how seamlessly you combine the time imprisonment and vicissitudes of a thought, it will not work on me. Although Ling Jueyun said so, Huang Quan'an did not believe him and tried a few more times. But in the end it was all useless. You should be pretty much exhausted, right? When Ling Jueyun's original body reappeared, he glanced at the pale-faced Huang Quan'an. Vicissitudes of thought is strange, but it also consumes a lot of soul power. Even if you manage to use vicissitudes of thought again, you won't be able to use it more than a few times. It's time for me to make a move. As soon as his voice fell, Ling Jueyun moved. During this process, Huang Quan'an once again used his time imprisonment to freeze Ling Jueyun midway. Then he did not use vicissitudes of thought again. Instead, he rushed forward and attacked Ling Jueyun directly. However, when his attack landed, Ling Jueyun's death clone reappeared and blocked his attack. All of you who are skilled in the law of time have mediocre offensive strength. You can't even destroy my death clone. Ling Jueyun's original body reappeared and attacked again. On the other hand, although Huang Quanan was skilled in the law of time, Ling Jueyun's death clone could freely switch positions with his true body. It was as though Huang Quanan was a natural counter to Ling Jueyun's death clone. In the end, although Ling Jueyun did not reveal his strength as a 6-star god of war, he was still a top 5-star god of war. Nevertheless, he still defeated Huang Quanan. When Ling Jueyun defeated Huang Quanan, everyone present on the scene, including Su Konghai who presided over the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses, were still in a daze. He actually won? Ling Jueyun is too monstrous, right? He's not even a 6-star god of war, but he defeated Huang Quanan? Isn't it said that Huang Quanan is invincible among those below the 6-star god of war? Although that's true, it seems like Ling Jueyun is skilled in the secret technique that allows him to freely switch between his death clone and his true body. Moreover, it's obvious that he's not affected by the law of time. Heavens! What kind of secret technique is that? At this moment, the group of young geniuses, heavenly emperors and high-ranking officials from the Tidal Temple's sub-palaces were all staring at Ling Jueyun curiously. They were curious about the secret technique he had cast. Those who were skilled in the law of death in particular, were staring at Ling Jueyun with bright eyes. If they could obtain this secret technique, their strength would rise to a whole new level. Currently, it would be difficult to find anyone below the 6-star god of war who was a match for Ling Jueyun. The secret technique that allowed him to freely switch between his death clone and his true body was heaven-defying. This was equivalent to wearing a layer of extremely strong defense, and it would not affect or injure his body. Ling Jueyun, what kind of secret technique are you using? Although Su Konghai felt it was a little rude to ask this question, he could not help but ask before Ling Jueyun left the arena. At the same time, he asked the question that was on everyone's mind. Everyone's attention was on Ling Jueyun. It's not a secret technique. Ling Jueyun replied indifferently to Su Konghai's question. It's the bloodline of my clan that allows me to do this. Apart from a few special clansmen, more than 90% of the people in my clan comprehend the law of death. This is because our bloodline contains the law of death. It's not a secret technique? Ling Jueyun's words disappointed many people. At the same time, many people suspected that Ling Jueyun was lying. Ling Jueyun doesn't dare to admit that it's a secret technique. Instead, he said it's his bloodline. He must be worried that someone will steal his secret technique. The bloodline contains the law of death? Su Konghai and the other heavenly emperors narrowed their eyes when they heard Ling Jueyun's words. This was because they thought of a clan that was similar to the one Ling Jueyun had mentioned. In that clan, more than 90% of the people had the law of death flowing in their bloodline. They were naturally skilled in the law of death and comprehended the law of death at lightning speed. That clan seems to be. When Su Konghai looked at Ling Jueyun again, he could not help but lose his voice. Ling Jueyun, are you from the Ling clan in the Divine Offering Land? You know about our Ling clan? Ling Jueyun looked at Su Konghai in surprise. Before the Ling clan was destroyed, they had been in seclusion for many years. Very few people from the Ling clan walked around the Divine Offering Land in a high-profile manner. He's really from the Ling clan. Su Konghai's eyes widened when he heard Ling Jueyun's reply. When he regained his senses, he bowed at Ling Jueyun and said, "Young Master Ling, I apologize for not knowing your identity earlier." Apart from the few heavenly emperors who knew about the Ling clan in the Divine Offering Land, everyone was shocked by Su Konghai's bow. Who was Su Konghai? He was the Vice Palace Master of the Tidal Temple. He was a godly powerhouse. However, right now, he was bowing to a mere 5-star god of war and even respectfully calling him Young Master. It should be noted that even if Ling Jueyun was the son of the heavenly emperor of the Jifan heaven, who was ranked first on the heavenly emperor ranking in the Devata realms, Su Konghai would not address him as Young Master. It seems like Su Konghai knows about Ling Jueyun's clan. It was not difficult for Duan Ling Tian, who was among the spectators, to figure out Su Konghai's intentions when he saw the change in Su Konghai's attitude. Moreover, it was likely that Su Konghai was unaware that the Ling clan had been annihilated. Otherwise, he would not have behaved in such a manner in front of Ling Jueyun. Duan Ling Tian had long known about Ling Jueyun's identity. Therefore, he was not surprised by Su Konghai's humble attitude. In fact, he thought Su Konghai was smart and knew how to size up the situation. When most of the people present saw Su Konghai bowing to Ling Jueyun and addressing him as Young Master, Su Konghai looked at Ling Jueyun and said respectfully, "Young Master Ling, the Tidal Temple had a deep relationship with the Ling clan many years ago. There are records of the Ling clan in the Tidal Temple. Although the Ling clan went into seclusion and gradually severed ties with the Tidal Temple, There's a rule in the Title Temple that all members of the Title Temple are not to be disrespectful when they see members of the Ling clan. Su Konghai said. Although Su Konghai did not speak loudly, he did not deliberately lower his voice. Upon hearing his words, an uproar broke out among the crowd. Heavens! What kind of clan is Ling Jueyun's backing? How could the Title Temple be so respectful? They even set a rule for his clan? The Ling clan? I've never heard of it before. Did Vice Temple Master Su mention the Ling clan in the Divine Offering Land? Isn't the Divine Offering Land one of the realms of gods? Due to the shock of seeing Su Konghai bowing to Ling Jueyun, many people had forgotten about Su Konghai's words. Now that someone mentioned it, realization dawned on them. As it turned out, Ling Jueyun's clan was from the Divine Offering Land. Young Master Ling, you're not even 700 years old and yet you've achieved so much. I'm sure you're a direct descendant of the Ling clan, right? Su Konghai asked with a polite smile. Yes. Ling Jueyun nodded. Su Konghai's words shocked most of the people who did not know Ling Jueyun's exact age. Just like Duan Ling Tian and Su Li, Ling Jueyun is not even 700 years old? Heavens! Another monstrous genius. If he's from the Divine Offering Land, he can't be considered monstrous, right? That's true. The Divine Offering Land is a realm of gods. The cultivation environment there isn't something the Devata realms can compare to. Moreover, he has a clan from the Divine Offering Land. I'm sure he has a powerful background. Chapter 35:14. When news of Ling Jueyun's identity spread, it caused a huge commotion in the Devata realm's battle of the geniuses. On the other hand, at this moment, the only people who were not shocked were Duan Ling Tian and Feng Qingyang. Duan Ling Tian had long known about Ling Jueyun's identity, and Feng Qingyang had heard from Duan Ling Tian that Ling Jueyun was from the realms of gods. Naturally, the people present on the scene knew about the realms of gods, unlike those at the bottom of the Devata realms. They knew about the realms of gods and that the realms of gods were superior to the Devata realms. In the realms of gods, godly spirits were everywhere. Even someone from the realms of gods came to participate in the Devata realm's battle of the geniuses. Isn't this bullying? After learning about Ling Jueyun's identity, some of the young geniuses present on the scene could not help but grumble softly. They felt it was unfair for a member of a powerful clan from a realm of gods to participate in the Devata realm's battle of the geniuses. That's not right. Ling Jueyun isn't even 700 years old? The passage between the realms of gods and our Devata realms has been closed for 600 years. He's not even 100 years old, but he left the realms of gods and came to our Devata realms? Many people recalled Ling Jueyun's age and the time when the passage between the realms of gods and the Devata realms had been closed. It had been 1,000 years since the passage was closed. Before that, it was impossible for people to travel between the two Devata realms through the passage. Does this mean Ling Jueyun grew up in our Devata realms? Even if he grew up in our Devata realms, he must have a powerful clan from a realm of gods. His cultivation resources are beyond our imagination. Under such circumstances, it's normal for his cultivation speed to be faster than ours. Although they knew Ling Jueyun had grown up in a Devata realm, many people thought he must have a lot of cultivation resources even if he was not in a Devata realm, since he came from a powerful clan in a realm of gods. This was not something people from the Devata realms could compare to. After all, Ling Jueyun's identity was confirmed by Su Konghai. Although some people thought it was inappropriate for him to participate in the Devata realm's battle of the geniuses, none of them dared to say anything. What a joke. Even Su Konghai, the vice palace master of the Title Temple's main temple, had to be respectful to Ling Jueyun. At this moment, Su Konghai's residence, the Devata clan's hall, had no doubt that he had the Devata clan was the strongest clan, the Devata clan was sect, and he had the authority. I didn't expect there to be such a clan in the realms of gods. The members of the clan are born with the law of death in their bloodline. Moreover, they're born with the ability to control the law of death as though it's part of their body. They can even switch between their death clone and their true body. After learning about the origin of Ling Jueyun's technique, everyone from the young geniuses to the heavenly emperors of the various Devata realms was in an uproar. Naturally, there were also some people who were familiar with the realms of gods and were not surprised by this. For example, Su Konghai, Feng Qingyang, and Di Huang, the patriarch of the Qilin clan, did not seem surprised at all. Natives in the realms of gods have the bloodline of a supreme powerhouse. The descendants of a supreme powerhouse are usually extraordinary and possess all kinds of abilities. Su Konghai was a member of the Title Temple, so he knew about this. Di Huang was a member of the Qilin clan, and the Qilin clan had a supreme powerhouse, so he knew about this as well. As for Feng Qingyang, he had learned about this when he was in the Azura Hell, one of the 7 deadliest places in the Devata realms. Regardless of Ling Jueyun's identity, he was still the winner of the battle between him and Huang Quan'an. I'm completely convinced. At this moment Huang Quan'an finally got his answer. Apart from being shocked, a smile appeared on his face as he said, "It seems like I'll have to avoid you and the people from your clan if I meet you again in the future. It's your fault for suppressing me." Huang Quan'an was still able to joke at this moment. It was obvious he was not discouraged by Ling Jueyun's defeat. It was as though he did not think much of this battle. Su Konghai looked at Ling Jueyun with a respectful expression on his face as he watched Ling Jueyun return to the spectator seats. When Su Konghai saw Ling Jueyun sitting down, he said in a clear voice, "The new 6th place Zhou Yongqi, please choose your opponent." Initially, Zhou Yongqi was ranked 4th. However, after Huang Quan'an defeated Zhong Guiyu, he was demoted to 5th place before he could even make a move. Currently, another person who was ranked behind him, Ling Jueyun, had defeated Huang Quan'an. Zhou Yongqi was demoted to 6th place again. Naturally, Duan Tian and Tang Sanpao, who had fallen 2 ranks and had yet to make a move. Duan Tian had fallen from 3rd place to 5th place. Tang Sanpao had fallen from 4th place to 6th place. Swoosh. When Zhou Yongqi flew into the arena, everyone shifted their attention away from Ling Jueyun. Earlier, when Ling Jueyun's identity was exposed, he had attracted a lot of attention. Zhou Yongqi is the last disciple of the Qi Hongtian Emperor, Zhou Bingguo. Do you think Zhou Yongqi will challenge Duan Tian? Before the Battle of Geniuses began, Duan Tian's master, Feng Qingyang, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, did not give face to Zhou Bingguo, the Qi Hongtian Emperor, and even defeated him. I think so. It's normal for a disciple to seek justice when his master is bullied. You haven't forgotten, have you? When Duan Tian fought with Yu Dongfang, he displayed a strength that wasn't inferior to a peak 5-star god of war. Although Zhou Yongqi's strength isn't bad, I'm afraid he hasn't reached the level of a peak 5-star god of war, right? I don't think he's as strong as a top 5-star god of war. If he's not a top 5-star god of war, I'm afraid he won't be able to stand up for his master. Waves of discussions were transmitted into Zhou Yongqi's ears from the various spectator seats, causing his body to tremble slightly. The corners of his mouth involuntarily lifted into a bitter smile. If Yu Dongfang had not challenged Duan Tian and Duan Tian had not displayed his strength as a top 5-star god of war, he would have challenged Duan Tian. After all, his strength was not necessarily a match for Yu Dongfang. Even Yu Dongfang had been defeated. If he were to challenge Duan Tian, he would not be lucky as well. I challenge. Under the gazes of everyone present, Zhou Yongqi's gaze swept towards Duan Tian, and it caused the hearts of everyone to freeze. Could it be that Zhou Yongqi is still concealing his strength? Is he really going to challenge Duan Tian? Is he also a top 5-star god of war? If he is, it'll be interesting to watch. When Zhou Yongqi's gaze landed on Duan Tian, the eyes of the young geniuses lit up. They were waiting for a good show. However, when the young geniuses were in high spirits, Zhou Yongqi's voice rang out again. This time they were stunned. 4th place Tang Sanpao. Zhou Yongqi challenged Tang Sanpao, not Duan Tian. It seems that we were too naive. After the group of young geniuses recovered from their shock, some of them smiled bitterly. It seems that Zhou Yongqi knows that he is not a match for Duan Tian, so he chose Duan Tian's friend, Tang Sanpao. He wants to avenge his master. Is that even possible? Isn't it obvious? Actually, the only targets he can choose now are Tang Sanpao and Zhong Guiyu. Unless he gives up on the challenge, it would be better for him to choose Tang Sanpao. After all, the strength that Tang Sanpao has shown so far may not be comparable to Zhong Guiyu. So this time he is not only targeting Duan Tian's friend, but also picking a soft persimmon? Hearing the discussions of the young geniuses, Duan Tian and Su Li's expressions were unnatural. Their gazes were strange. Tang Sanpao, soft persimmon? Someone that they had almost confirmed to be a 6-star god of war was regarded as a soft persimmon by these people? Tang Sanpao, that Zhou Yongqi thinks that you are a soft persimmon. Su Li looked back at Tang Sanpao and said with a smile. He probably has the intention of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Tang Sanpao smiled indifferently. He still maintained the demeanor of an expert. At the same time, he looked at Duan Tian and said, Duan Tian, no matter what, I have no evil intentions in approaching you. It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. However, I am indeed in the wrong for hiding my identity. This Zhou Yongqi, consider it my apology to you. As his voice fell, Tang Sanpao had already stepped into the air. What is this Tang Sanpao talking about? Zhou Yongqi challenged him. Even if he defeated Zhou Yongqi, it would be for his own sake. What's with the apology? Su Li could not help but whisper into Duan Lingtian's ear. I don't think it's as simple as defeating Zhou Yongqi. Duan Lingtian shook his head. What do you mean? Su Li's expression froze. He intends to kill Zhou Yongqi? Zhou Yongqi is the last disciple of Zhou Bingwu, the Qihongtian emperor. Zhou Bingwu is ranked 4th on the heavenly emperor ranking. Su Li said in disbelief. If he's the trump card of the title temple, do you think the title temple will allow Zhou Bingwu to kill him? Duan Lingtian replied with a question. Su Li was taken aback when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Then he smiled wryly. It seems like in the Devata realms, one's strength is not the only important thing. One's backer is also important. It's not just the Devata realms. Duan Lingtian shook his head. Isn't it the same in our homeworld, the Saint Province realm? It could be said that as long as there is a battle, this is the case. While Duan Lingtian and Su Li were conversing, Tang Sanpao had already entered the arena under everyone's watchful eyes. He stood opposite Zhou Bingwu, the last disciple of the Qihongtian emperor, and looked at Zhou Bingwu indifferently. Chapter 35:15. Tang Sanpao. Zhou Yongqi glared at Tang Sanpao fiercely as he said in a deep voice, if you want to blame someone, blame it on the fact that you're Duan Lingtian's friend. Otherwise, I might not have challenged you. After all, there's still Zhongguoyu to choose from. Zhou Yongqi raised his voice as though he was afraid the others would not know the reason he challenged Tang Sanpao was because he hated Duan Lingtian. When his words fell into the ears of most of the people present, it was no different from drawing legs on a snake. It was too deliberate. Zhou Yongqi, you're blind, but we're fools. Trash. Under the watchful eyes of the others, Tang Sanpao glanced at Zhou Yongqi indifferently and spat out 2 words. Zhou Yongqi's expression changed drastically, and his eyes turned red. Before he could reply, Zhou Yongqi continued to say, the person who bullied your master is Duan Lingtian's master, not my master. You don't have the courage to challenge Duan Lingtian, so you want to take revenge on Duan Lingtian by challenging me? Do you think I, Tang Sanpao, am a pushover in your eyes, Zhou Yongqi? Tang Sanpao chuckled when he reached the end of his sentence. Now do your best. I'll make a move. If you don't die, it'll be my loss. Tang Sanpao continued to say. As soon as Tang Sanpao finished speaking, he stood with his hands on his back and looked at Zhou Yongqi indifferently. As soon as Zhou Yongqi finished speaking, Su Konghai, the vice palace master of the title temple, who was in charge of the Devata realm's battle of the geniuses, frowned slightly. Then he looked at Tang Sanpao. Tang Sanpao looked back at him with a determined expression. Upon seeing this, Su Konghai sighed inwardly and did not say anything else. Earlier, he had been trying to persuade Tang Sanpao through voice transmission that there was no need to kill Zhou Yongqi. Although the title temple was not afraid of the Qihongtian emperor, they did not want to make enemies for no reason. However, Tang Sanpao's insistence made him realize there was no way he could change his mind. You want to kill me with a single move? When Zhou Yongqi heard Tang Sanpao's words, he was stunned at first. Then he subconsciously sized Tang Sanpao up, a hint of vigilance flashing in his eyes. Could Tang Sanpao really have the ability to kill him in one move? Duan Lingtian, or Ling Jueyun, and Huang Quan, and who were the top 5 stars, would not necessarily be able to could he was defeated Zhou that Duan Lingtian. However, Tang Sanpao said he could kill Zhou Yongqi with a single move? At this moment, Zhou Yongqi's master, the Qihongtian emperor Zhou Bingwu, was frowning as he looked at his disciple, Zhou Yongqi's opponent, Tang Sanpao. This Tang Sanpao, wasn't he afraid that he wouldn't be able to get out of this embarrassing situation? With his disciple's strength, unless he was a 6-star god of war, no one would be able to kill him with a single move. A 6-star god of war. Is it possible? Zhou Bingwu stared at Tang Sanpao as thousands of thoughts flashed through his mind. At the same time he said to Zhou Yongqi through voice transmission, this is a matter of life and death. You can't be careless. Tang Sanpao doesn't look like he's lying. However, when he's with Feng Qingyang's disciple Duan Lingtian, he's frivolous. Now even I can't decide which one is the real him. After being defeated by Feng Qingyang, Zhou Bingwu had been paying attention to Feng Qingyang's only true disciple, Duan Lingtian. The more he paid attention to Duan Lingtian, the more shocked he was. He did not expect such a young true disciple would be stronger than his last disciple. Zhou Yongqi was the disciple with the most outstanding innate talent. Otherwise he would not have stopped accepting other disciples for Zhou Yongqi's sake. His last disciple was his last disciple. All this while, Zhou Yongqi had been his pride. When Zhou Yongqi had displayed his strength as a 5-star god of war in the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses, Zhou Bingwu had been looking forward to his disciple defeating Feng Qingyang's only true disciple, Duanling Tian. However, from the looks of it now, it was impossible. Zhou Bingwu's disciple was no match for Feng Qingyang's disciple. It's up to you to decide. Although Zhou Bingwu was cautious, he did not dare to say that Tang Sanpao was not lying. For this reason, he decided to let his disciple make the decision. Master. Zhou Yongqi quickly responded. I don't believe he's capable of killing me with just one strike unless he's a 6-star god of war. The probability of a 6-star god of war appearing in the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses is too low. Didn't you tell me that in the history of the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses, there's only one 6-star god of war in every 100 battles? Zhou Yongqi gritted his teeth and said, I want to fight with him. If I'm defeated, how am I going to stand tall in the Qihong Tian? How am I going to stand tall in this world? Zhou Yongqi could imagine this. If he admitted defeat now and chose to surrender without a fight, it would be fine if Tang Sanpao displayed the strength of a 6-star war god. Everyone would say that he had good foresight and knew that Tang Sanpao was not someone to be trifled with. However, if Tang Sanpao was not a 6-star god of war, he would become the laughingstock of all the Devata realms. At that time, everyone in the Qihong Heaven and the heavenly palace of the Qihong Heaven would secretly laugh at him. That was not something he could accept. Tang Sanpao, how arrogant of you. Since he had made up his mind, Zhou Yongqi became fearless. He stared coldly at Tang Sanpao and said, I'd like to see how you're going to kill me with just one strike. Remember what you said. If you can't kill me with just one strike, you'll lose this battle. Zhou Yongqi said arrogantly. Upon seeing Zhou Yongqi's decision, Su Konghai, who was in charge of presiding over the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses, twitched his lips imperceptibly. He knew Zhou Yongqi's death was imminent. If Zhou Yongqi retreated now, he might be able to escape death. However, if he chose to stay, he was destined to be killed by his junior nephew, Tang Sanpao. Tang Sanpao won't go back on my word? Tang Sanpao said indifferently. Upon seeing this, the group of young geniuses broke out in an uproar. Is Tang Sanpao serious? Killing Zhou Yongqi with just one strike? That's not realistic, right? Unless he's a 6-star god of war. Meanwhile, Ding Fu, the heavenly emperor of the primeval heaven, looked at Tang Sanpao from afar and shook his head. Tang Sanpao is so boastful. It seems like he's going to lose this battle. Not necessarily. On the other hand, Feng Qingyang shook his head. He had learned from his disciple, Duanling Tian, through voice transmission that Tang Sanpao was the trump card of the Tidal Temple. He had long suspected the trump card of the Tidal Temple was a 6-star god of war. Tang Sanpao, bring it on. Zhou Yongqi shouted as he made his move. His celestial origin energy surged, and the profundities from the law of war merged with his celestial origin energy. An emperor-grade celestial weapon appeared in his hand, and a shadow could be seen hovering above it. It's an emperor-grade celestial weapon with a weapon spirit. Many people could not help but exclaim in surprise. They did not expect Zhou Yongqi to possess such a celestial weapon. After all, Zhou Yongqi had never revealed his celestial weapon before. This was his first time revealing his celestial weapon. However, when they thought about Zhou Yongqi's identity, they were not surprised at all. As the last disciple of the Qihongtian Emperor, it was only natural for him to possess an emperor-grade celestial weapon. As for why he did not reveal his celestial weapon earlier, it was because no one was strong enough to force him to reveal his celestial weapon. Now that Zhou Yongqi was facing Tang Sanpao, he did not hold back at all. Not only did he use all his trump cards, but he even brought out his trump card, the celestial artifact. From this, one could see how important this battle was to him. It seems like Zhou Yongqi is frightened. Otherwise he wouldn't have gone all out. It's obvious. Tang Sanpao is really good at scaring people. However, it's also because of this that he's in a difficult position. Zhou Yongqi seems to be putting his life on the line. Many people shook their heads when they saw this. They felt Tang Sanpao was trapped in a cocoon of his own making. However, Tang Sanpao remained calm. It was as though he could maintain his composure even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of him. In the face of Zhou Yongqi's ferocious attack, he calmly took out a glove from his spatial ring and put it on his right hand. This was the first time Tang Sanpao had taken out this glove. It was completely black and green, and it was shimmering with a mysterious light. It was obvious it was not an ordinary item. He calmly put on the glove in front of everyone, completely ignoring Zhou Yongqi, who was getting closer and closer to him. When Zhou Yongqi was getting closer and closer to Tang Sanpao, he finally put on the glove. While the onlookers were worried for Tang Sanpao, Zhou Yongqi did not seem to be in a hurry at all. His movements were sluggish. Will he be able to make a move in time? In just a blink of an eye, Zhou Yongqi's attack was already close to Tang Sanpao. Many people could not help but wonder. Will Tang Sanpao be able to make a move in time to block it? Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. Tang Sanpao, who had been sluggish all this time, suddenly moved at this moment. His lazy eyes suddenly focused, and he pointed a finger at the void with his gloved hand. Of course, the direction he pointed at was also the direction where Zhou Yongqi was. Whoosh! Tang Sanpao pointed his finger, and a beam of light shot out. Just when many people subconsciously thought that the beam of light shot out by Tang Sanpao would be overshadowed by Zhou Yongqi's dazzling attack and would not be able to compete with Zhou Yongqi's attack. Whoosh! Whoosh! Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the beam of light that was only as thick as a finger instantly enlarged and turned into a towering pillar of fire. It seemed to be indomitable. One end of the pillar was pressed against Tang Sanpao's fingertip, while the other end quickly retreated to meet Zhou Yongqi. Boom! With a loud noise, Zhou Yongqi's attack was dimmed. No! A shrill and miserable voice came at the right time. It was Zhou Yongqi's voice. In addition to the shrill and miserable voice, there was also regret and despair in his voice. Boom! Rumble! As Tang Sanpao pointed his finger, a solid and terrifying pillar of fire that reached the sky roared out. It was surrounded by countless flaming snakes that looked like lightning and thunder, and there was a faint cry. Whoosh! As Tang Sanpao lowered his finger and retracted it, the pillar of fire that reached the sky gradually dissipated. Chapter 35:16. Swoosh! Just as the pillar of flame was about to disappear, a figure appeared from the distance and entered the glove on Tang Sanpao's right hand in front of everyone's eyes. Another Emperor-grade celestial weapon with an artifact spirit. Many people were shocked. On the other hand, Zhou Yongqi was nowhere to be seen. Only his celestial weapon and spatial ring were left on the ground. The celestial weapon was only slightly damaged, but the spatial ring was slightly distorted from the pressure. Swoosh! Su Konghai raised his hand, and an invisible force swept out, carrying Zhou Yongqi's storage ring and celestial artifact to the table in front of Zhou Bingwu, the heavenly Emperor of Qihong. Zhou Bingwu's face was filled with rage, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. My condolences, Heavenly Emperor Zhou, Su Konghai said indifferently. His voice was calm and emotionless. Although Zhou Bingwu was a heavenly emperor from a Devata realm and was ranked 4th on the heavenly emperor ranking in the title temple, he was only a quasi-god. However, he was only a quasi-god. If Zhou Bingwu insisted on killing Zhou Bingwu, it would be difficult for Zhou Bingwu to escape. Tang Sanpao. Zhou Bingwu did not look at the relics of his last disciple, Zhou Yongqi, that Su Konghai handed over to him. He was so angry that not only did his waterfall-like long hair break the hairband, but even his robes and the space around him shook slightly. The tremors were clearly visible to the naked eye. Bang! With a loud bang, Zhou Bingwu actually stomped on the ground and flew out in the blink of an eye. A vast and incomparable power also surged out from his body, emitting an extremely terrifying aura, as if it could destroy the heavens and earth. How dare you kill my disciple? You deserve to die. Zhou Bingwu roared. Then a silhouette shot out from his body and shot toward Tang Sanpao like a cannonball. Enough. Su Konghai didn't expect that Zhou Bingwu would dare to attack him. His complexion sank slightly. He shouted and opened his big hand. Suddenly, a huge palm that could cover the sky appeared, and smashed Zhou Bingwu's attack. It was a complete beating. Hall Master Su, he killed my disciple. Zhou Bingwu's expression changed drastically. He was so angry that he had almost lost his mind. However, now that he had calmed down, he realized he was in the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses. All the young geniuses who participated in the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses were protected by the Title Temple. The Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses is up to fate. Su Konghai coldly glanced at Zhou Bingwu and raised his hand again. The giant palm instantly disappeared and reappeared above Zhou Bingwu's head. Bang! A loud explosion rang in the air as Zhou Bingwu was slapped to the ground. The small floating island he was on exploded into dust in just a blink of an eye. Even the old man who was accompanying Zhou Bingwu was smashed into smithereens by the palm. Only Zhou Bingwu didn't die, but he was heavily injured as well, and he was on the verge of collapse. He ceaselessly spat out mouthfuls of dazzling and resplendent blood, and it gushed out as if it was free. This scene at this moment caused the people present to involuntarily suck in a breath of cold air. Was this the strength of a godly spirit? Su Konghai, the vice hall master of the Tidal Temple's main hall, was even stronger than a godly spirit. In the past they had only heard about this. However, after witnessing Su Konghai's attack with their own eyes, they realized that Su Konghai was even more terrifying than the rumors made him out to be. He could suppress a heavenly emperor with ease. Moreover, it was obvious that he had held back. Otherwise, he would have killed Zhou Bingwu, the Qihongtian emperor, with just one slap. Thank you for showing mercy, Hallmaster Su. Zhou Bingwu was severely injured, and his body was on the verge of collapsing. However, when he looked at Su Konghai again, he did not dare to show any anger. Instead, a bitter and regretful expression could be seen on his face. How could he have forgotten about the existence of the Tidal Temple? The battle of the geniuses in the Devata realms had a long history. It could be said that it was a banner of the Tidal Temple. It was rare to hear of people who dared to cause trouble during the battle of the geniuses in the Devata realms. Those who dared to cause trouble were usually killed. For this reason, Zhou Bingwu knew how lucky he was to have survived. Su Konghai snorted coldly and did not continue to attack. It was clear he did not intend to pursue the matter further. At that moment, Zhou Bingwu's gaze landed on Tang Sanpao. The flames of hatred rose within him, and his face was filled with an extremely cold, killing intent. He could not make a move today. After the battle of the geniuses in the Devata realms was over, he would seek justice for his disciple, Zhou Yongqi. An eye for an eye. What? Tang Sanpao looked at Zhou Bingwu indifferently when he saw the killing intent in Zhou Bingwu's eyes. Zhou Bingwu, don't tell me you intend to kill me after the battle of the geniuses in the Devata realms is over? Humph. Zhou Bingwu snorted, clearly agreeing to Zhou Bingwu's words. Tang Sanpao smiled faintly. Let me give you a piece of advice. If you don't want to die, you should give up on that idea. What? You have the guts to kill my disciple, but you don't have the guts to face my wrath? Zhou Bingwu sneered. Zhou Bingwu's words were akin to admitting he wanted to kill Tang Sanpao. As long as he did not attack during the battle of the geniuses in the Devata realms, even the Tidal Temple would not interfere. Zhou Bingwu is so eager to die? Su Li, who was standing next to Duan Lingtian, looked at Zhou Bingwu speechlessly. At the same time, he whispered to Duan Lingtian. Sometimes ignorance is a sin. Duan Lingtian shook his head. He could see Zhou Bingwu, the Qihongtian emperor, did not know Tang Sanpao was from the Tidal Temple. He thought the Tidal Temple had only attacked him to maintain order during the battle of the geniuses in the Devata realms. Zhou Bingwu. As soon as Zhou Bingwu finished speaking, Su Konghai's eyes flashed coldly as he looked at Zhou Bingwu coldly. I'm only sparing your life because you did a good job in the past. Do you really think I won't dare to kill you? Su Konghai's voice was filled with killing intent. Upon seeing this, Zhou Bingwu, who had been acting arrogantly in front of Tang Sanpao, was dumbfounded. What? Why is this happening? I didn't continue to fight during the battle of the geniuses in the Devata realms. Why would Vice Hall Master Su of the Tidal Temple be so furious? Could it be that Tang Sanpao had agreed to join the Tidal Temple? Did they secretly come to such an agreement? Vice Hall Master Su, is it possible that he has agreed to join the Tidal Temple? Zhou Bingwu asked warily. If he has already joined the Tidal Temple, then naturally I won't dare to touch him anymore. Zhou Bingwu wanted to confirm Su Konghai's words. Humph. Su Konghai scoffed as he looked at Zhou Bingwu indifferently. He's a member of the Tidal Temple. How can he join the Tidal Temple? When Su Konghai's words came out, it could be said to be a stone that caused 1,000 ripples. What? Tang Sanpao is a member of the Tidal Temple? Isn't he a sectless cultivator? He's a member of the Tidal Temple? The technique that Tang Sanpao used just now should be enough to cross the threshold of a 6-star war god, right? The Tidal Temple actually nurtured a 6-star god of war? What's going on? What's going on? How did Tang Sanpao become a member of the Tidal Temple? Most people were dumbfounded. Just now, Tang Sanpao's strength was suspected to be a 6-star god of war, which naturally shocked everyone. However, before they could recover from their shock and exclaim, the Qihongtian Emperor, Zhou Bingwu, had already taken the initiative to attack Tang Sanpao, which attracted everyone's attention subconsciously. Now Zhou Bingwu was suppressed by Su Konghai. After Zhou Bingwu revealed his killing intent toward Tang Sanpao, Su Konghai actually said that Tang Sanpao was a member of the Tidal Temple? Since they saw Tang Sanpao's technique until now, They had not been calm for a moment. What was excitement? This was excitement. Tang Sanpao is my martial nephew. He's the only true disciple of my senior who has retired from the world. Su Konghai continued, although my senior has retired from the world, he still has an idle position in the Tidal Temple. Tang Sanpao is the temporary successor of the Temple Master of the Tidal Temple. You want to kill him? Su Konghai looked at Zhou Bingwu with a hint of mockery in his eyes. Zhou Bingwu's expression changed completely at this moment. Tang Sanpao was not only a titled God Emperor, but he was also the temporary successor of the Temple Master of the Tidal Temple? Good heavens! Who was this brat who killed his last disciple, Zhou Yongqi? How could he have such a terrifying background? If he had such a background, he should have revealed it earlier. If he had revealed it, he would not have dared to provoke him. It's a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding. Zhou Bingwu tried his best to suppress his emotions. When he regained his senses, he looked at Su Konghai and hastily waved his hand and said, Vice Temple Master Su, it's a misunderstanding. This is a misunderstanding. It's a huge misunderstanding. Tang Sanpao. No. Young Master Tang, it's a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding. After explaining the misunderstanding to Su Konghai, Zhou Bingwu turned to look at Tang Sanpao with a terrified expression on his face. At this moment, most of the people present on the scene, especially the heavenly emperors from the various Devata realms, felt sorry for Tang Sanpao. Zhou Bingwu, the Qihongtian emperor, was ranked 4th on the heavenly emperor ranking. He had the strength of a 9-star god of war. However, such a person was like a stray dog at this moment, wagging his tail and begging for pity. They finally realized how terrifying the Tidal Temple was. Even a heavenly emperor from a Devata realm who was a 9-star god of war was as weak as an ant in front of the Tidal Temple. The Tidal Temple could easily crush him. Perhaps, the heavenly emperors of the various Devata realms would only be fearless of the Tidal Temple after they had become gods. Are they finally coming out? Feng Qingyang, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, who was standing next to Ding Fu, the heavenly emperor of the primeval heaven, suddenly narrowed his eyes and looked at the clouds in the distance. Brother Feng, what are you? Just as Ding Fu was about to ask Feng Qingyang what he was looking at, he raised his head and saw a black figure descending from the sky. Chapter 35:17. Tang Sanpao's master was Su Konghai's senior martial brother? After seeing Su Konghai's attack and hearing Su Konghai's words, Duan Lingtian's expression turned serious. He never expected that there was such a connection between Tang Sanpao and Su Konghai. Based on the current situation, Tang Sanpao's master was indeed a recluse. However, this person was a member of the Tidal Temple. Even though he had gone into seclusion, he still held a position in the Tidal Temple and was closely related to the titled God Emperors. Otherwise, how could his disciple have become the successor of the Tidal Temple Master? Duan Lingtian knew that the Hall Master, that Su Konghai mentioned was not the Hall Masters of the sub-halls, but the Hall Master of the main hall, who was in charge of the entire Tidal Temple. Could it be that Tang Sanpao's master also wanted to test his master when he fought against him back then? Thinking of this, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but ask his master, Feng Qingyang, through voice transmission. We'll talk about it later. Feng Qingyang quickly replied, Someone's coming. Someone's coming? Hearing his master Feng Qingyang's words, Duan Lingtian was startled at first, then subconsciously looked at his master, only to find that his master was looking straight at the sky. He immediately followed his master's gaze. With just a glance, Duan Lingtian saw a black shadow floating down from the clouds in the sky at a steady speed. When the silhouette approached, the people present all noticed him. Whoosh! It was an old man dressed in a long black robe. His wrinkled face was cold and his eyes were frighteningly sharp. He had 2 long and narrow white sword-like eyebrows, which resembled 2 swords. After the old man appeared, he stood there, giving off an unfathomable feeling. Left Guardian of Dharma. After the old man appeared, Su Konghai looked at the Qihongtian Emperor Zhou Bingwu with pity and sighed inwardly. Zhou Bingwu had done a good job for him in the past. For this reason he had decided to let Zhou Bingwu off the hook this time. Who knew Zhou Bingwu would take a yard after he gave him an inch? He wanted to kill Tang Sanpao after the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses? This was a taboo for the Tidal Temple. Currently, Tang Sanpao wasn't just a true disciple of a reclusive higher-up. He was also the successor of the Tidal Temple Master. When Duan Lingtian had become the successor to the Hall Master of the Tidal Temple, the left guardian of the Tidal Temple had been by his side to protect him. This was also the privilege of a successor to the Hall Master of the Tidal Temple. He was originally thinking that if the left protector did not appear, and if Zhou Bingwu admitted his mistake with a good attitude, he could let him off. Who knew the old man would show up in the end? His appearance meant Zhou Bingwu's death was imminent. Vice Temple Master Su, why didn't you kill him? The old man asked as he looked at Su Konghai. Although his voice was calm, everyone present on the scene could hear the killing intent in his voice. Su Konghai smiled wryly. The left guardian of Dharma has done a good job for the title temple in the past. The temple master even praised him for that. Is that why he's still alive after threatening the young master? The old man asked indifferently. He was the left guardian of Dharma. Su Konghai remained silent. Naturally, he knew this was not enough to save Zhou Bingwu's life. The old man snorted coldly. Then, he extended his hand and made a grabbing motion in the direction of Zhou Bingwu. In the next moment, whoosh, 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 whoosh. Before Zhou Bingwu could even circulate his celestial origin energy, 5 huge green vines appeared and wrapped around him like ropes. Zhou Bingwu's expression changed drastically. As soon as his celestial origin energy surged out of his body, the vines tightened around him and bound him. When the vines landed on his body, they were like whips. He felt a burning sensation on his skin. At the same time, he was shocked to discover his celestial origin energy that had been boosted with profundities from the law of nature had been destroyed. It was even to the extent that a strand of terrifying energy had entered his body in the blink of an eye, and it stirred up randomly before heavily injuring his internal organs. Barf. The intense pain in his body forced Zhou Bingwu to spit out a mouthful of blood. He had lost count of how many times he had spat out blood today. Earlier he had been injured by Su Konghai. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, he kept coughing up blood. His injuries were too severe. Initially he had recovered slightly from his injuries, but now he was severely injured again. Moreover, his injuries were worse than before. Qi Hongtian Emperor? The old man, the left guardian of Dharma, looked at Zhou Bingwu indifferently. A disdainful smile appeared on his face as he said, "You're ranked 4th on the Heavenly Emperor ranking? Did you think you're so full of yourself because of your ranking on the Heavenly Emperor ranking? How dare you say you're going to kill the young master of the Tidal Temple?" As soon as he finished speaking, the vines around Zhou Bingwu tightened again. Zhou Bingwu spat out another mouthful of blood. His face was as pale as a sheet of paper. However, he still struggled and said in a trembling voice, "Left guardian of Dharma, it's a misunderstanding." "It's a misunderstanding." However, the old man did not pay any attention to him. He immediately closed his hand that was shooting vines out of his fingers. In the next moment, the 5 vines shook violently and broke off from his hand. After breaking off, the 5 vines acted like fuses that ignited an explosive. The vines around Zhou Bingwu exploded. Zhou Bingwu turned into a dazzling firework in the explosion. In the end, Zhou Bingwu, the Qi Hongtian Emperor, died. Even his spatial ring was destroyed and turned into dust. Not a single trace was left behind. Everyone present on the scene was dumbfounded when they saw the heavenly monarch Qi Hong being killed. It took them a long time to regain their senses, and all of them gasped in unison. At the same time, they looked at the black-robed old man. The left guardian of Dharma of the Tidal Temple was obviously a divine expert as well. Moreover, his strength did not seem to be inferior to Su Konghai, the vice palace master of the Tidal Temple. Moreover, based on their conversation, it seemed like they were on equal footing. It was obvious that their positions in the Tidal Temple were similar as well. Swoosh. Before everyone could regain their senses, the old man's figure flashed as he shot up into the sky like a ghost. In just a blink of an eye, he disappeared into the horizon as though he was never there. At this moment, it was not difficult for the people present to figure out what was going on. The old man was hiding in the clouds, protecting Tang Sanpao as he watched the battle of the geniuses in the Devata realms from afar. From the moment the old man appeared until he killed the Qi Hongtian Emperor, Zhou Bingwu, from the beginning until the end, he did not speak to Tang Sanpao at all. Even then, most people's eyes were filled with fear when they looked at Tang Sanpao again. A heavenly emperor from a Devata realm who was ranked 4th on the heavenly emperor ranking was killed by Duanling Tian because of this young man. Duanling Tian was shocked by the strength of the Tidal Temple. Many heavenly emperors who were weaker than the Qi Hongtian Emperor, Zhou Bingwu, felt sorry for the death of the same person. If the Tidal Temple wanted to kill them, they would not be able to escape death. The battle of the geniuses in the Devata realms continues. When Su Konghai finished speaking, everyone's attention finally returned to the battle of the geniuses in the Devata realms. Su Konghai continued to say, "Since Zhou Yongqi is dead, apart from him who failed his challenge, those who were ranked behind him will be ranked one rank ahead of him. Zhou Yongqi was originally ranked 6th, but since he failed his challenge he should have been ranked 6th. However, due to his death the 6th rank is now empty. Sima Rue, who was originally ranked 7th, is now ranked 6th. Those who are ranked behind him will be ranked 6th and so on. Zhou Yongqi's death could be said to be a blessing to many people. Naturally, the 30th rank was now empty. Now, let's welcome the next person to challenge the 5th rank, Duan Lingtian. Su Konghai said as he looked at Duan Lingtian. At this moment, Tang Sanpao had already left the arena. However, he did not return to Duan Lingtian and the others. Instead, he found an empty seat on the other side of the arena and sat down. However, even so, as he sat there, the people around him still looked at him in unison. It was not until he frowned and looked around that the people looked away guiltily. It's Duan Lingtian's turn now. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Duan Lingtian rose into the air and entered the arena in just a blink of an eye. At this moment, many people were curious who Duan Lingtian would challenge. Duan Lingtian has the strength of a top 5-star god of war. Among the people ranked in front of him, Zhong Guiyu seems to be the weakest. Will he choose Zhong Guiyu as his opponent? It's possible. If he chooses Zhong Guiyu as his opponent, not only will he be able to advance his ranking, but he'll also be able to bide his time. If I were him, I'd choose Zhong Guiyu. Most of the people present on the scene had guessed correctly this time. Duan Lingtian had chosen Zhong Guiyu as his opponent. Duan Lingtian. After Zhong Guiyu entered the arena, he had a wry smile on his face. What are you doing? You have the strength of a top 5-star god of war. I'm not a match for you. Ha! Duan Lingtian was stunned. I remember when you first displayed the strength of a 5-star god of war in the Devata Realm's Genius Battle, you sent me a voice transmission saying that you hoped I wouldn't disappoint you. Now, I'm standing in front of you. Isn't this what you want? Duan Lingtian asked as he looked deeply at Zhong Guiyu. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, Zhong Guiyu's face was filled with bitterness. You're challenging me because of my voice transmission? Zhong Guiyu was completely dumbfounded. Duan Lingtian was too blind, wasn't he? Didn't he see that Zhong Guiyu's strength was inferior to his? At this time he still challenged him. Wasn't this bullying? The group of onlookers was also stunned. So, Duan Lingtian challenged Zhong Guiyu not because Zhong Guiyu was the weakest among the people ranked before him, but because Zhong Guiyu provoked him? Ha! This is interesting. When Zhong Guiyu provoked Duan Lingtian, I'm afraid he didn't even dream that Duan Lingtian would have the strength of a top 5-star god of war. Many people's eyes lit up. They wanted to see the world in chaos. Chapter 35:18. Zhong Guiyu was infuriated and anxious when he heard the discussion among the young geniuses. However, in the end he did not make a move on Duan Lingtian. I admit defeat. He admitted defeat. As expected, Zhong Guiyu's admission of defeat attracted disdainful looks. However, Zhong Guiyu turned a deaf ear to them. He looked at Duan Lingtian and said, Duan Lingtian, you're more outstanding than my senior sister said. However, I firmly believe I'll be able to catch up to you one day. Zhong Guiyu said solemnly, I'm a few hundred years behind you, but it doesn't mean I won't be able to catch up to you in the future. I'll wait and see. Duan Lingtian smiled indifferently and left the place with Zhong Guiyu. Although Duan Lingtian had challenged Zhong Guiyu and Zhong Guiyu had admitted defeat, the people present on the scene were only disappointed for a moment before they regained their spirits. This was because after Duan Lingtian had defeated Zhong Guiyu, it was Tang Sanpao's turn to challenge the people in front of him. In the beginning, Tang Sanpao was ranked 2nd. Now that Huang Quan and Ling Jueyun and Duan Lingtian had defeated Duan Lingtian, he had fallen to 5th place. Currently, the top 10 of the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses were as follows. 1st place, Ling Jueyun. 2nd place, Huang Quan, and 3rd place, Duan Lingtian. 4th place, Zhong Guiyu. 5th place, Tang Sanpao. 6th place, Sima Rue. 7th place, Yi Dongli. 8th place, Hong Yuan. 9th place, Lu Su Yen. 10th place, Yu Dongfang. After Tang Sanpao's challenge, the first round of challenges is over. Although there's still Zhong Guiyu, I'm sure Zhong Guiyu won't challenge anyone else since the people in front of him are all stronger than him. At this moment it was not only 1 or 2 people who thought so. Most people felt the same way as well. Zhong Guiyu has just been challenged by Duan Lingtian. According to the rules, even if he lost without a fight, Tang Sanpao won't be able to challenge him. Duan Lingtian won't be able to challenge. Tang Sanpao won't be able to challenge him as well. Huang Quanan and Ling Jueyun Tang Sanpao. Who do you think he'll challenge? He seems to be quite familiar with Duan Lingtian and Ling Jueyun. He'll probably challenge Huang Quanan, right? Although Huang Quanan is proficient in the law of time and is almost invincible among those below the 6-star god of war, no one below the 6-star god of war can defeat him unless Ling Jueyun is his nemesis. However, Tang Sanpao has displayed strength that is suspected to be at the 6-star god of war level. If Tang Sanpao is really a 6-star god of war, it won't be difficult for him to defeat Huang Quanan. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Tang Sanpao flew into the arena. In the previous round he had challenged Zhou Yongqi, the last disciple of the Qi Hongtian Emperor, Zhou Bingwu. In the end, Zhou Yongqi died. In fact, Zhou Bingwu, the great Qi Hongtian Emperor who wanted to stand up for Zhou Yongqi, also died not long after. All of this was because of Tang Sanpao, the young hall master of the Tidal Temple. I challenge. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Tang Sanpao's eyes flashed and he said bluntly, Huang Quanan. Although he only had two choices, Ling Jueyun or Huang Quanan, after glancing at Ling Jueyun, he still chose Huang Quanan. Ling Jueyun, it's not that I'm afraid of you, but I feel that our battle should be left for later. Tang Sanpao looked at Ling Jueyun and said solemnly, I'll keep you company. Ling Jueyun sat beside Duan Lingtian. His gaze was still cold and his words were concise. On the surface, he didn't show any emotion because of Tang Sanpao's challenge. At the same time, Huang Quanan entered the arena. His expression was equally solemn. Tang Sanpao was suspected to have the strength of a 6-star god of war. It would be fine if he didn't, but if he did, Huang Quanan had no chance of winning. Huang Quanan's own strength hadn't reached the level of a peak 5-star god of war. He was relying entirely on one-thought vicissitudes to be able to dominate the other 5-star gods of war. I'll give you 3 chances to use one-thought vicissitudes on me. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Tang Sanpao, who was facing off against Huang Quanan, looked at Huang Quanan and said calmly. Once he said this, the crowd instantly went into an uproar. It seems that Tang Sanpao, the young master of the Tidal Temple, might really be a 6-star god of war. Otherwise, how would he dare to speak so arrogantly? Let's wait and see. Whether or not he has the strength of a 6-star god of war can be confirmed through this battle. Huang Quanan isn't someone who's easy to deal with. He'll be able to force out his true strength. Under the expectant gazes of the crowd, Huang Quanan used one-thought vicissitudes on Tang Sanpao. However, Tang Sanpao easily blocked it. He stood on the spot without moving and easily blocked it. Huang Quan's law profound meaning fused with his soul energy and blocked it. So, when Huang Quanan saw that Tang Sanpao had a chance to attack, he blocked his attack. Immediately, with a thought, the power fused with the law of time swept out and enveloped the space where Tang Sanpao was. Then, one-thought vicissitudes arrived as scheduled. Shio. However, when one-thought vicissitudes was still halfway, it was blocked by the soul attack shot out from Tang Sanpao's eyes. You're actually not affected by my law of time? Huang Quanan's pupils shrank and his face was filled with shock. You're a 6-star god of war. You're definitely a 6-star god of war. Only those with the strength of a 6-star god of war and above can ignore my time seal. Huang Quanan's words completely confirmed that Tang Sanpao was a 6-star god of war. Tang Sanpao is really a 6-star god of war? Although Tang Sanpao did not attack brilliantly, it was a fact that he could ignore Huang Quanan's time seal. Huang Quanan had already said that only 6-star gods of war could ignore his time seal. Under such circumstances, it was almost certain that Tang Sanpao was a 6-star god of war. He's really a 6-star god of war. Heavens! There's really a 6-star god of war in this Devata Realm Battle of Geniuses. This Devata Realm Battle of Geniuses will go down in history. After confirming that Tang Sanpao was a 6-star god of war, the crowd went into a frenzy. Not only were the young geniuses shocked, but even the heavenly emperors of the Devata realms were shocked. Even the high-ranking officials of the Tidal Temple's sub-palaces were shocked. None of them expected there was a 6-star god of war who was not even 1,000 years old in the Tidal Temple's main temple. No wonder he's the successor to the palace master of the Tidal Temple and the young master of the Tidal Temple. He's actually a 6-star god of war under the age of 1,000. Even the current palace master of the Tidal Temple is only a 5-star god of war under the age of 1,000, right? As long as he can maintain this progress, he'll be even stronger than the current palace master of the Tidal Temple. At this moment, the crowd was no longer surprised that Tang Sanpao would become the successor to the palace master of the Tidal Temple. If such a person, not to mention that he was a direct descendant of the Tidal Temple, was qualified to become the successor of the Title Temple's Hall Master, who was qualified to do so. I admit defeat. After confirming that Tang Sanpao was a 6-star god of war, Huang Quan admitted defeat. He had no intention of continuing the duel with Tang Sanpao. Tang Sanpao left the duel under everyone's heated gazes. He's really a 6-star god of war. Su Li sighed as he looked at Tang Sanpao's back. I was just guessing. Now that I've seen it for myself, it's truly shocking. On the other hand, Zhang Tianyu, Wang Ting, and He Jianyi who were sitting in the back row were dumbfounded. 6-star god of war. He's a 6-star god of war? They did not expect the young man who was chatting and laughing with them not long ago to be a 6-star god of war. To be more precise, he was a 6-star god of war who was not even 1,000 years old. Moreover, he had another identity. The young master of the Title Temple. This identity was even more intimidating than the son of the Heavenly Emperor or the Holy Son of a Heaven-grade force. Zhongguiyu, you're the last person standing. While everyone's attention was still on Tang Sanpao, Su Konghai said to Zhongguiyu in a loud and clear voice. At the same time he attracted everyone's attention. I give up. This time, Zhongguiyu only left his seat and did not have any intention of entering the arena. His decision was not unfamiliar to the people present. At the same time no one made fun of him. They even felt that he was a wise man who adapted to the circumstances. Moreover, he decisively admitted defeat. For the group of spectators it was also a good thing. At least they did not need to waste time watching a duel where the result was already predicted. Since that's the case, the first round of the ranking battle is over. Next, we'll begin the second round. Su Konghai announced once again. Now, the 29th place began to challenge because there was no one left in the 30th place. Due to the death of Qi Hongtian Emperor, Zhou Binghua's disciple, Zhou Yongqi, there was an empty spot. Deputy Temple Master Su. At this time, a heavenly emperor could not help but ask, the 30th place is empty. Will someone have a chance to compete? As soon as the heavenly emperor's voice fell, a group of young geniuses who felt that they had a chance to win the 30th place had their eyes lit up. They looked at Su Konghai expectantly. However, Su Konghai's response disappointed them greatly. The 30th place is empty. No one will compete. Immediately after, the challenges began again. Although the challenges of the 4-star war gods were intense, they were far inferior to the challenges of the 5-star war gods. Most of the spectators were also somewhat dispirited. Although it was strenuous for Su Li, he had once again maintained his ranking. Soon it was the 10th place, a young genius with the strength of a 5-star war god. He was the third direct disciple of the heavenly emperor of Shenyuan Tian, Yu Dongfang. Yu Dongfang, who are you challenging? Su Konghai asked Yu Dongfang. Hearing this, Yu Dongfang did not hesitate and said bluntly, Zhongguiyu. Zhongguiyu was currently ranked the highest among those who did not have the strength of a peak 5-star war god. For this reason Yu Dongfang chose him to replace him. Currently, his goal in this year's Devata Realms Genius Battle was no longer to be in the top 3. Instead, he wanted to be ranked behind a peak 5-star war god. Based on the current situation, it was impossible for him to even be in the top 4, let alone the top 3. Currently, there were 3 peak 5-star war gods and 1 6-star war god in the top 4. Chapter 35:19. Zhongguiyu was currently ranked 5th. However, Yu Dongfang, the true disciple of the heavenly emperor of the Yellow Origin Heaven, wanted to challenge him. Yu Dongfang had been defeated many times. First, he was defeated by Huang Quan. Then he was defeated by Duan Lingtian. Although his master did not blame him and even comforted him when he apologized for being useless, he still found it difficult to accept the fact that he had been defeated twice in a row. He had always been the most outstanding disciple under the heavenly emperor of the Yellow Origin Heaven, Gongsun Shenyuan. Although his senior brothers and senior sisters were stronger than him, he was still young. Given enough time, he was certain he would surpass his senior brothers and senior sisters. In the heavenly palace of the Yellow Origin Heaven, he was considered a genius in the entire Yellow Origin Heaven. His journey in the Devata Realms Battle of the Geniuses had been smooth sailing until he encountered Huang Quan and Duan Lingtian. It was only then that he was defeated. Now he desperately needed a battle to prove himself. For this reason he chose to challenge Zhongguiyu, who was currently ranked 5th. His goal had changed from being in the top 3 to being ranked 5th. Only then would he be able to redeem himself. Duan Lingtian, who do you think will win? Su Li asked Duan Lingtian when Yu Dongfang and Zhongguiyu were facing each other. Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed when he heard Su Li's words. It's hard to say. Both of them have displayed similar strength. In the end we'll see who's more composed. I think they'll win. In terms of composure, I think Zhong Guiyu will win, Su Li said. Yu Dongfang is no longer as calm as he used to be, Su Li said. A genius that has always been able to look down upon his peers has lost successively at the hands of Huang Quan and Duan Ling Tian. Naturally, it wouldn't be so easy for him to continue maintaining his composure. Ling Jueyun chimed in. I think Zhong Guiyu will win this battle. Then Yu Dongfang and Zhong Guiyu began to fight in full view of the public. The strength of the two was indeed on par with each other. After a few dozen moves, it was still difficult to determine the winner and loser, and no one had the upper hand. However, after 100 moves, those with good eyesight could see that Yu Dongfang was a little anxious. Sigh. On one of the floating islands, the heavenly emperor of Shenyuan, Gongsun Shenyuan, sighed and shook his head. Yu Haoyin, the heavenly emperor of the Jade Emperor Heaven, shook his head as well. Your disciple is too impatient. It seems like the previous defeat has dealt a huge blow to him. He's probably in a hurry to prove himself, and it's hard for him to maintain his composure after such a long battle. It's good to suffer a setback. Gongsun Shenyuan quickly regained his composure and said, in the past he only knew that Shenyuan Tian was invincible among the younger generation. However, the battle of the geniuses in the Devata realms has taught him that there's always someone better than him. After another 10 moves, Yu Dongfang was completely at a disadvantage. After 3 moves, Yu Dongfang lost. If I hadn't been careless, you wouldn't have been able to defeat me, Yu Dongfang said in a deep voice as he wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He looked at Zhong Guiyu with a disgruntled expression on his face. Perhaps. Zhong Guiyu smiled faintly before he turned around and left. After all, he had been defeated one after another, and he had been demoted from the 1st place to the 5th place. Even someone like him could not help but feel slightly sullen. However, now that Yu Dongfang had delivered himself to him and was defeated by him, he felt much better. Earlier, when he fought with Yu Dongfang, even he felt a little impatient, let alone Yu Dongfang. However, Yu Dongfang was the first to lose his patience. When he saw Yu Dongfang's impatience, he calmed down and defeated Yu Dongfang after a few dozen moves. Yu Dongfang had failed his challenge and continued to be ranked 10th. However, he could no longer challenge Zhong Guiyu and had no chance to avenge his humiliation. Even if he felt that he could avenge his humiliation and at least fight to a draw with Zhong Guiyu, it was useless. If he challenged the same person in the same round, he would not be able to start over. If he could start over, how was he supposed to continue? Was he supposed to wait until he had not made any mistakes and his opponent had made a mistake? Would his opponent be willing to accept that? No matter what, Yu Dongfang's loss was a loss. At this moment he could only fight for the 6th place. Among the top 4, there were 2 people who had defeated him, so he could not challenge them. He knew he was not a match for the other 2 people. It was not that he had not thought about the possibility of Zhong Guiyu being defeated and replaced by him. However, those who were strong enough to defeat Zhong Guiyu were also strong enough to defeat him. However, judging from the situation of the others, it should be impossible for them to have the strength to defeat Zhong Guiyu, because he was confident that he was not weaker than any of them. Lu Su-yen, 9th place, enter the arena and issue a challenge. After Yu Dongfang was eliminated, Su Konghai, who was presiding over the Devata Realms Battle of the Geniuses, announced. Lu Su-yen had fewer opponents to choose from. Yi Dongli had already defeated the person in front of her, so it was impossible for her to challenge her again. As for the other 5 people, Zhong Guiyu, who was ranked 5th, and the 4 people in front of her, she knew that she was no match for them, so it was impossible for her to challenge them. Therefore she only had 2 opponents left. Sima Rue, who was ranked 6th, and Hong Yuan, who was ranked 8th. Both of them were young geniuses nurtured by the Title Temple. In the end, Lu Su-yen chose to challenge Sima Rue, who was ranked 6th. However, she was defeated by Sima Rue. 8th place, Hong Yuan. Hong Yuan chose to challenge Yi Dongli. In the end, he took out an Emperor-grade celestial weapon with an artifact spirit and defeated Yi Dongli. Hong Yuan was second only to Tang Sanpao among the younger generation in the Title Temple. The Emperor-grade celestial weapon with an artifact spirit was given to him by the Title Temple a few years ago. Even if the Title Temple did not give him the Emperor-grade celestial weapon, his master, the main hall elder of the Title Temple, who was much stronger than most heavenly emperors, would have given him the Emperor-grade celestial weapon. Hong Yuan, you're promoted. Su Konghai looked at Hong Yuan with a satisfied expression on his face. Hong Yuan bowed respectfully at Su Konghai before he left the arena. Su Konghai was the vice palace master of the Title Temple. Even Hong Yuan's master had to be respectful to Su Konghai. Naturally, he did not dare to disrespect Su Konghai. Yi Dongli, you can issue a challenge now or wait until the next round. Su Konghai said as he looked at Yi Dongli, who had yet to leave the arena. I'm not challenging anymore. 8th place is good enough. Yi Dongli shook her head. Clearly she had decided to give up. Nobody made fun of her for making such a decision. Most people thought she was smart and knew how to adapt to circumstances. Since Yi Dongli had given up, Su Konghai looked at Sima Rue, who was currently ranked 6th on the spectator seats, and asked, Sima Rue, what about you? Do you want to issue a challenge? I give up as well. Sima Rue shook his head. Although his strength was on par with Hong Yuan, he knew that he wasn't Zhong Guiyu's opponent. As for the other 4, there was no need to even mention them. Any one of the 4 could beat him up. 5th place, Zhong Guiyu. After Sima Rue gave up, Su Konghai looked at Zhong Guiyu. Zhong Guiyu did not hesitate to give up as well. When Zhong Guiyu gave up, not only did the atmosphere turn gloomy, but it also turned lively. It's finally Duan Lingtian's turn. Duan Lingtian won't give up, right? Definitely not. His strength is also at the peak of the 5-star war god level. He might not be as strong as Tang Sanpao, but he's definitely on par with Ling Jueyun. Will he choose the 3rd place Huang Quanan? It's possible. But if it's Huang Quanan, unless he's a 6-star war god, has some secret technique, or has a bloodline like Ling Jueyun that can restrain Huang Quanan's vicissitudes of thought, he won't be a match for Huang Quanan. When it was almost Duan Lingtian's turn, the spectator seats were in an uproar. It was as if Duan Lingtian was very popular. Duan Lingtian, who do you plan to challenge? Before Duan Lingtian went up, Su Li asked curiously. Unlike the others, he had almost blind confidence in Duan Lingtian. Although the people ranked ahead of Duan Lingtian had all displayed amazing strength, he firmly believed that Duan Lingtian was not weaker than them. I'll challenge Huang Quanan first. Duan Lingtian smiled faintly. I've never met such a strong opponent who's skilled in the law of time. It's a good opportunity for me to experience it. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Konghai's voice sounded again. 4th place, Duan Lingtian, go up and choose your opponent. Hearing Su Konghai's words, Duan Lingtian left his seat and stepped into the air. When he appeared on the stage, Duan Lingtian could feel many gazes on him. At the same time, among these gazes, there was a strange light that gave him a very uncomfortable feeling. He tilted his head slightly and saw the palace master of the tidal temple's Xinyuan Heaven Branch Temple, Tathagata. To be more precise, it was the dead spirit race's clansman. Tathagata was currently not in control of his own body. You want to take over my body? Duan Lingtian glanced at Tathagata with a hint of disdain at the corner of his mouth. This made Tathagata, who was also Yahiko, look particularly fierce. It was obvious that he was angry. I challenge. Under the expectant gazes of the crowd, Duan Lingtian finally announced the opponent he was going to challenge. 3rd place, Huang Quanan. Huang Quanan. After Duan Lingtian finished speaking, even the crowd, who had been prepared, could not help but burst into an uproar. Duan Lingtian actually chose Huang Quanan. Doesn't he know that Huang Quanan's law of time is strange? Although Huang Quanan's law of time is strange and powerful, do you think Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao are easy to deal with? Both of them were existences that had once defeated Huang Quanan. Under normal circumstances, if Duan Lingtian can't even defeat Huang Quanan, it's basically impossible for him to be a match for Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Huang Quanan flew up to the stage. The battle between Duan Lingtian and the top 5-star god of war, who was good at the law of time, was about to start. Chapter 35:20. Duan Lingtian, do you have a way to counter my law of time as well? Huang Quanan looked at Duan Lingtian suspiciously after he entered the arena. He had been defeated by Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao. For a moment he had doubted his life. In fact, he had been aiming for first place in the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses. However, it was clear that it was impossible now. Up until now, there were only 2 people who could defeat him. Initially, he thought he was invincible among those below the 6-star god of war. Therefore, he was confident he would be able to win first place in the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses. However, he did not expect there would be a 6-star god of war, Tang Sanpao. Apart from Tang Sanpao, there was another 5-star god of war, Ling Jueyun. Although Ling Jueyun did not display his strength as a 6-star god of war, Ling Jueyun's bloodline allowed him to freely switch between his death clone and his true body. Huang Quanan, who was confident he would be able to win first place in the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses, suffered 2 defeats. Now, there was another person who had challenged him. Moreover, this person was the true disciple of Feng Qingyang, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven who had ascended to godhood. Most importantly, Huang Quanan was not weak at all. His opponent was not even 700 years old. Since Ling Jueyun was not even 700 years old, it was not a big deal if he could defeat Huang Quanan. After all, Huang Quanan was from a realm of gods. However, Huang Quanan did not think Duan Lingtian would be able to defeat him. However, Duan Lingtian's nonchalant attitude gave Huang Quan an inexplicable sense of confidence. For this reason, Huang Quanan was extremely wary of Duan Lingtian. He could not help but ask, Duan Lingtian? Duan Lingtian, do you have a way to counter my law of time? No. Duan Lingtian shook his head. I just want to feel your law of time. The moment Duan Lingtian's words left his mouth, those who had high hopes for him were rendered speechless again. Could it be that you challenged Huang Quanan just to feel his time laws? He didn't go there to defeat Huang Quanan? Duan Lingtian said so. Does that mean he has already given up? I've always thought it's impossible for Duan Lingtian to defeat Huang Quanan. He's destined to be ranked 4th in the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses while Huang Quanan is ranked 3rd. As for the first place, it will definitely be Tang Sanpao. Tang Sanpao is a 6-star war god. Naturally, he deserves to be number 1. Now, because of Duan Lingtian's words, most people thought that he had already admitted defeat. As for Huang Quanan, after hearing Duan Lingtian's words, he had similar thoughts. Of course, the reason why he had such thoughts was more because he felt that Duan Lingtian could not possibly be his opponent. Vicissitudes in a single thought should be your strongest technique, right? Duan Lingtian asked as he looked at Huang Quanan. Although Huang Quanan did not know why Duan Lingtian suddenly asked this question, he still nodded. The vicissitudes in a single thought was indeed his strongest technique. It was also his biggest trump card. Naturally, if he wanted to hit his opponent with the vicissitudes in a single thought, he would need to use other techniques from the law of time as well. Use your vicissitudes in a single thought. I won't dodge. Duan Lingtian said to Huang Quanan. However, Huang Quanan only frowned when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. If I dodge, it'll be my loss, Duan Lingtian said. He could see Huang Quanan was worried. It was not difficult to guess Huang Quanan was worried Duan Lingtian would lie to him. Although Duan Lingtian's voice was not loud, it was clearly heard by the people present on the scene. It seems like Duan Lingtian really wants to see Huang Quanan's technique. If he doesn't dodge, Huang Quanan can effortlessly use vicissitudes in a single thought on him. Many people were already shaking their heads. They felt that the battle was about to end. All right. Duan Lingtian made a promise in front of everyone. Huang Quanan was also relieved. Earlier he was worried that Duan Lingtian was only talking. Once he did not use any technique to imprison Duan Lingtian, if Duan Lingtian dodged smoothly, he would be able to gain the initiative. At that time, although he might not necessarily lose, he would be forced into a passive position. He naturally could not take the risk. Now that Duan Lingtian had made a promise in front of everyone, he had no more worries. In the next instant, under the gazes of everyone present, Huang Quanan's eyes flashed. He used vicissitudes in a single thought again. A strange power cut through the sky and smoothly entered Duan Lingtian's body. This is vicissitudes in a single thought? Under the gazes of the crowd, Duan Lingtian stood in place, motionless. However, after a while, the crowd discovered that Duan Lingtian's body had not changed at all. Moreover, Duan Lingtian did not show any signs of aging. I see. After Duan Lingtian was struck by Huang Quanan's vicissitudes in a single thought, he was able to confirm the theory behind Huang Quanan's vicissitudes in a single thought. Huang Quanan's vicissitudes in a single thought would affect his soul and destroy his body, causing his vitality to drain away rapidly. Although Huang Quanan's vicissitudes in a single thought had penetrated his body and attacked his soul, it did not affect his soul at all. Under such circumstances, it was only natural that Huang Quanan's vicissitudes in a single thought would not be able to destroy his body. After all, if Duan Lingtian's vicissitudes in a single thought were not affected, he would be able to control the energy in his body and expel the time energy that was trying to destroy his body. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Duan Lingtian, who was still in a daze, finally regained his senses. He looked at Huang Quanan and said, "Not bad. Those below the 6-star god of war would definitely be affected if they didn't have Ling Jueyun's trump card. The souls of celestial emperors, especially titled celestial emperors, would improve as their comprehension of profundities increased. For example, the souls of 5-star gods of war were different from the souls of 6-star gods of war. When the profundities of laws improved and changed the soul would become even more indestructible. Just like earlier. Huang Quan'an's goal was to affect Duan Lingtian's soul. However, since Duan Lingtian's soul was too strong, Huang Quan'an's vicissitudes in a single thought was not effective at all. Still, when Duan Lingtian looked at Huang Quan'an with a smile on his face, Huang Quan'an suddenly shouted. Then, a wave of energy that he had been accumulating swept out and shrouded Duan Lingtian. This was a time storm. Wherever it passed, time froze. Even the smile on Duan Lingtian's face froze in an instant. Vicissitudes in a single thought. Huang Quan'an was about to cast the vicissitudes in a single thought again when Duan Lingtian's smile widened. Not bad. You've stopped time and trapped me in time. The law of time is indeed the strongest of the four supreme laws, Duan Lingtian said. Huang Quan'an's eyes widened in shock and disbelief when he saw Duan Lingtian had broken his law of time in just a blink of an eye. You're really a six-star god of war. Earlier, when the vicissitudes in a single thought hit Duan Lingtian, it did not affect Duan Lingtian at all. For this reason, Huang Quan'an had suspected Duan Lingtian was a six-star god of war. However, now that he saw his law of time could not restrain Duan Lingtian, he was certain of his suspicion. With his current cultivation base and his attainments in the law of time, only a six-star god of war or stronger would be able to ignore his law of time. Before Huang Quan'an had spoken, the heavenly emperors from the various Devata realms were already shocked. Su Konghai, the host, had a grave expression on his face as well. The greed in the eyes of Lord Yahiko, the pavilion master of the tidal temple's Xianyuan Heaven's sub-temple, was uncontrollable. Wind Celestial Emperor, your disciple has concealed his strength well, but so have you. Ding Fu, the heavenly emperor of the primeval heaven, looked at Feng Qingyang calmly. He could tell Feng Qingyang knew his disciple, Duan Lingtian, was a six-star god of war or stronger. A six-star god of war who's not even 700 years old? Moreover, he's a transcender. Wind Celestial Emperor, not only are you heaven-defying, but you're also heaven-defying when it comes to choosing disciples. Compared to your disciple, my disciple is dumber than a pig. Wei Qi, who was standing behind Ding Fu, smiled bitterly when he heard Ding Fu's words. His master had always praised him, but now his master was saying he was dumber than a pig? Meanwhile, the atmosphere in the Devata realm's battle of the geniuses was at its peak. Heavens! Another six-star god of war. Has there ever been two six-star gods of war in the Devata realm's battles of the geniuses? I don't think so. Two six-star gods of war in the same Devata realm's battle of the geniuses. I'm afraid we're witnessing an unprecedented event. The faces of the young geniuses flushed with excitement. It was as though the six-star gods of war were them instead of Duan Lingtian and Tang Sanpao. On the other hand, those who used to regard Duan Lingtian as a rival, such as Yu Dongfeng, had an ashen expression on his face. He knew he would never be able to catch up to Duan Lingtian. On the other hand, Zhong Guiyu had a bitter smile on his face as he said, "Senior sister, your little junior brother is much more heaven-defying than you said. A six-star god of war who's not even 700 years old? Heavens! Even in the world of divine remains, there aren't many of such existences among the natives of the world of divine remains, right?" It had to be said that Zhong Guiyu was shocked. Ouyang Su, who had knelt in front of the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven in hopes of becoming a disciple of Feng Qingyang, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. To think he had wanted to become a disciple of the legendary heavenly emperor. As it turned out, the only true disciple of the legendary heavenly emperor was such a heaven-defying existence. A six-star god of war who was not even 700 years old. His talent and comprehension were even more heaven-defying than the young master of the tidal temple, Tang Sanpao. Tang Sanpao was much older than Duan Lingtian. Do you still want to continue? Duan Lingtian asked as he looked at Huang Quan'an. What's there to continue? Huang Quan'an smiled bitterly. You're a six-star god of war. Don't tell me you want to humiliate me? Your opponent shouldn't be me. It should be Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao. Huang Quan'an looked at Su Konghai and said, Vice Temple Master Su, I admit defeat. Su Konghai nodded. At the same time he looked at Duan Lingtian and announced Duan Lingtian's victory. At this moment, Su Konghai's gaze turned complicated. Mobile version of the website. Chapter 35-21. Su Konghai did not expect there would be another six-star god of war in the Devata realm's battle of geniuses this time, apart from his junior nephew, Tang Sanpao. Moreover, Duan Lingtian was the only true disciple of the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. He was not even 700 years old, but he had already mastered two of the four Taos of heaven and earth, the Sword Tao and the Tao of control. Although he knew that he had just grasped the basics, he had already grasped it. Even as the vice palace master of the main hall of the Tidal Temple, he had only come into contact with one of the four Tao of heaven and earth. He still had a long way to go before he could grasp the basics of the Tao of heaven and earth. If we have the chance, we must imprison Duan Ling Tian in the Tidal Temple so that he can share his sword Tao and Tao of control. At the same time, Su Konghai muttered to himself as traces of light flickered in the depths of his eyes. Of course, compared to Master Yahiko, he was much more subtle. At least, even Duan Ling Tian didn't notice the abnormality in his eyes. Duan Ling Tian was originally in 4th place, but now that he had successfully challenged Huang Quanan, who was in 3rd place, he smoothly advanced to 3rd place and replaced him. At this time, under normal circumstances, Huang Quanan could wait for another round to issue a challenge, or he could issue a challenge now. However, the current situation was special. After all, the 3 people ranked before Huang Quan and had already defeated him. For this reason, there was no point in continuing to challenge them. Moreover, according to the rules of the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses, he was no longer allowed to challenge Duan Ling Tian and the other 2. Since Huang Quanan can't issue a challenge, then it's Tang Sanpao's turn to issue a challenge. Tang Sanpao is now in 2nd place. If he wants to issue a challenge, it's destined that he can only challenge one person. As Duan Ling Tian and Huang Quanan left the stage, many burning gazes fell on Tang Sanpao and Ling Jueyun. Tang Sanpao was 2nd, and Ling Jueyun was 1st. Tang Sanpao could only challenge Ling Jueyun. Ling Jueyun, come on up. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Tang Sanpao flew away from the spectator seats and stepped into the air in the blink of an eye. The moment he entered the arena, he looked at Ling Jueyun and said bluntly. Although his voice was not loud, everyone present could hear it clearly. Then Ling Jueyun entered the arena under the watchful eyes of the crowd. The 2 of them stood facing each other. Tang Sanpao looked at Ling Jueyun and smiled faintly. Ling Jueyun, your bloodline can restrain Huang Quanan, but it can't restrain me. If that's all you have, I'm afraid you're not my match. Whether I'm a match for you or not, we'll only know after we try. Ling Jueyun said calmly. Then let's cut the crap. Come on. As soon as Tang Sanpao opened his mouth, his body suddenly ignited with blazing flames. The flames burned to the extreme, turning from fiery red to white, causing the void to tremble. Obviously, the temperature had reached a terrifying level. In the next moment, Tang Sanpao's body swayed and his entire body shot out like a cannonball, heading straight for Ling Jueyun. In the face of the menacing Tang Sanpao, Ling Jueyun's eyes narrowed. Then his entire body bloomed with a blood-red light, like a blood-red meteor streaking across the sky. Bang! An earth-shattering sound rang out, causing many of the people present to tremble. Tang Sanpao and Ling Jueyun had collided, and the 2 of them were evenly matched. Seeing that they could not gain the upper hand, the 2 of them quickly retreated. It seems like I've underestimated you. Tang Sanpao looked at Ling Jueyun in surprise. Then he made his move again. With a wave of his hand, a white light condensed from flames shot out. It was extremely sharp and it seemed like it could cut through anything. This time, a figure shot out of Ling Jueyun's body and blocked the white light with its bare hands. This was the Law of Death's undead clone profundity that Ling Jueyun had cast. However, even though it had withstood Tang Sanpao's attack, the undead doppelganger was already badly damaged. Ling Jueyun, I'm very curious. Do you have the strength of a 6-star god of war? Tang Sanpao no longer held back when he attacked again. It was as though he was a 6-star god of war, and it was as though he could defeat all his enemies. This time, apart from Duan Ling Tian and the other young geniuses, many heavenly emperors from the Devata realms and high-ranking officials from the various tidal temples had a solemn expression on their faces. Tang Sanpao no longer held back. He knew it was impossible for him to defeat Ling Jueyun even if he did not hold back. In that case, he might as well go all out to prevent himself from being injured. In this kind of battle, if he was injured, he would be at a disadvantage. Swoosh, swoosh. Tang Sanpao revealed his strength as a 6-star god of war. He had fused many profundities from the law of fire, making him look like a majestic god of fire. Furthermore, the flames that surrounded his entire body were a blazing white, so bright that it was somewhat dazzling. Even though the spectators were seated far away in the spectator stands, they could clearly feel the fiery aura that swept towards them. The blazing white flames seemed to be able to incinerate everything. Ling Jueyun, be careful. At the same time, a spear appeared in Tang Sanpao's hand. On top of the 7-foot-long spear there was a spear light. One could vaguely see that within the spear light, there seemed to be a blood-red light flashing. The blood-red light had a pair of ghostly green eyes that sent chills down one's spine. This is Tang Sanpao's first time using his celestial weapon. It's obvious his celestial weapon is an Emperor-grade celestial weapon with an artifact spirit. When Tang Sanpao revealed his celestial weapon, an uproar broke out in the crowd. Everyone instinctively shifted their attention to Ling Jueyun. Bus. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Ling Jueyun drew his sword from its scabbard. It was a flexible sword. It swayed in the air, emitting a buzzing sound. As Ling Jueyun's celestial origin energy surged out of his hand, the long sword straightened in an instant. At the same time, the phantom of a python shrouded in black chi appeared in the spear rays. Another Emperor-grade celestial weapon with an artifact spirit. Everyone was shocked, and their gazes became even more heated. There were even quite a few people who stared with their eyes wide open, unable to take their eyes off the scene in front of them. It was as though they were afraid of seeing something spectacular. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The sound of 3 explosions reverberated in the air almost at the same time. Due to the short interval between the explosions, many people only heard one of the explosions. It was Tang Sanpao who had made his move. Tang Sanpao's 3 spear rays shot toward Ling Jueyun like missiles and rockets. Although Ling Jueyun tried to dodge the attacks, the spear rays continued to chase after Ling Jueyun. It was as though the spear rays had locked onto him. Wherever the spear rays passed, the void trembled. It was as though the air was being sucked out. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The sound of 3 swords whistling in the air rang in the air. Ling Jueyun, who had dodged the spear rays, launched his attack. 3 sword rays shrouded in black chi shot out like 3 meteors to meet the spear rays. In just a blink of an eye, the 2 spear rays collided. There was no explosion as expected. After the 3 sword rays collided with the spear rays, they turned into 3 black mist that shrouded the spear rays and swallowed them whole. However, the black mist did not fare well either. When the spear rays disappeared, only a few of them were left and scattered with the wind. Bang! An earth-shattering sound rang out. Tang Sanpao's legs shook the void, causing the sky to tremble violently. Then he rushed toward Ling Jueyun with his spear at a speed faster than the previous 3 spear rays. In the face of the menacing Tang Sanpao, Ling Jueyun's eyes narrowed. Then, his body swayed and he went up to meet him. At the same time, another figure rushed out of Ling Jueyun's body. It was his death doppelganger. Together with his original body, they met Tang Sanpao head-on. Boom. Rumble. The 3 figures kept crossing each other. Every time they gathered together, there would be an earth-shattering sound. The battle was vividly displayed in front of everyone's eyes. In just a blink of an eye, dozens of moves had passed. However, Tang Sanpao still did not gain the upper hand. At this moment, many people, including Su Konghai, who was in charge of the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses, who had regained their senses, narrowed their eyes in shock. They could see Tang Sanpao was not holding back at all. Even so, he still did not gain the upper hand. What did this mean? Ling Jueyun is also a 6-star god of war. The hearts of Su Konghai and the others shuddered. Since when did a 6-star god of war become so common? In the past, a 6-star god of war in the Devata Realm's Battle of the Geniuses was enough to shock an era. Earlier, Duanling Tian, the only true disciple of the Heavenly Emperor of the Solitary Destructive Heaven, Feng Qingyang, had displayed his strength as a 6-star god of war after Tang Sanpao. 2 6-star gods of war below the age of 1000. However, now that Ling Jueyun had displayed his strength as a 6-star god of war, many people were shocked again. Naturally, there were also a few people who were not surprised. After all, he's from a prominent clan in the realms of gods. It would be embarrassing if he's weaker than Duanling Tian and Tang Sanpao. You can't say that, right? Whether it's Duanling Tian or Tang Sanpao, they're only top-tier geniuses in the Devata realms. On the other hand, Ling Jueyun might not necessarily be a top-tier genius in the realms of gods. You can't compare the 2 of them. I think so as well. Even among the natives of the realms of gods, there must be some mediocre geniuses and some mediocre geniuses who might not even be as good as me. In any case, based on Ling Jueyun's strength, he's definitely not mediocre in the realms of gods. Even if he's not a top-tier genius, he's still a rare genius. Due to Ling Jueyun's background as a disciple of a prominent clan in the realms of gods, the people present were not as shocked as they were when they saw Duanling Tian revealing his strength as a 6-star god of war. Ling Jueyun was born in the highest realm of gods in the realms of gods. Duanling Tian, on the other hand, was born in the lowest mundane realm. Chapter 35-22. Compared to Ling Jueyun's illustrious background, Duanling Tian came from a humble background. He relied on himself step by step to reach where he was today. Because of this, when they learned that Duan Lingtian was a 6-star god of war, they were shocked beyond words. Therefore, even when they saw Ling Jueyun displaying the strength of a 6-star god of war, they could still accept it. Although they were still shocked, it was not as shocking as when they learned that Duan Lingtian was a 6-star god of war. Boom. Boom boom boom. The battle between Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao continued. It was as intense as before. 100 moves passed in the blink of an eye. 200 moves also passed in a flash. After 300 moves, the two of them were still evenly matched. Moreover, both of them were very calm. Neither of them revealed any flaws because of their anxiety. For example, Yu Dongfang, the third true disciple of the heavenly emperor of Xinyuan, was originally evenly matched with Zhong Guiyu. However, because he was anxious, he revealed his flaws and was defeated by Zhong Guiyu. Yu Dongfang was very unwilling to accept his defeat in that battle. However, it was useless even if he was unwilling to accept his defeat. Ling Jueyun. In the end, Tang Sanpao separated from Ling Jueyun in a flash. After keeping a distance, he said to Ling Jueyun, "It's difficult to determine the winner between us. How about we call it a draw? Although I have the divine artifact given by the Tidal Temple with your status, you must have a better divine artifact. You haven't used the divine artifact until now. Obviously, you don't want to defeat me with the power of the divine artifact. Let's call it a draw. The ranking will still be the same. You will be first and I will be second." When Tang Sanpao said this in terms of ranking, it was no different from him losing. Okay. Ling Jueyun nodded. It was indeed difficult to determine the winner between him and Tang Sanpao. If they continued, it would be the same. They could only fight until one of them was tired or distracted. But it was meaningless. Based on their accumulation and temperament, neither of them would be the first to reveal a flaw unless they fought for a few months. However, at this moment, Tang Sanpao continued to say, "Although it's a tie between us and you're ranked first, the reason I joined the Battle of the Geniuses in the Devata realms is to obtain the Exploding Element Celestial Fruit. I can give you the first place, but I can't give you the Exploding Element Celestial Fruit. Even if we end up in a tie, I hope you can give me the Exploding Element Celestial Fruit. I'm willing to pay a certain price for it. Of course, you can also choose to draw straws with me to decide the ownership of the Exploding Element Immortal Fruit." As Tang Sanpao spoke, he could not help but sigh in his heart. He had originally thought that obtaining the Exploding Element Immortal Fruit was in the bag, but who would have thought that Ling Jueyun would appear out of nowhere, whose strength was not any weaker than his, and Duan Lingtian, who had displayed the strength of a 6-star battle god, also gave him a certain amount of pressure. As expected, Tang Sanpao's hunch was right. His greatest opponents in the Devata realm's Battle of the Geniuses were Duan Lingtian and Ling Jueyun. "Let's draw straws." Ling Jueyun said, "I'm determined to obtain the Exploding Element Immortal Fruit as well." "All right." Tang Sanpao nodded in agreement. This was without a doubt the best solution. After all, neither of them could defeat the other. However, it's still too early for us to talk about this. Ling Jueyun turned to look at the purple-clad young man as he said, "Don't tell me you think we can defeat Duan Lingtian?" Tang Sanpao's eyes flashed when he heard Ling Jueyun's words. "We'll have to fight him in the next round to know if we can defeat him or not." Just as Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao were about to leave, a voice rang in the air. "Both of you recover your strength." As the voice rang out, a figure stepped out from the spectator stands on a floating island and appeared before everyone's eyes. It's Feng Qingyang, the legendary heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. What's Feng Qingyang trying to do? I don't know. Everyone was puzzled by Feng Qingyang's words when Su Konghai looked at Feng Qingyang and asked with a frown on his face, "Heavenly Emperor Feng, what are you doing?" "Vice Hall Master Su." Feng Qingyang looked at Su Konghai and smiled faintly. "I have something urgent to attend to, so I'm leaving with my disciple Duan Lingtian. I hope he can fight with Tang Sanpao and Ling Jueyun in advance." "Heavenly Emperor Feng, if you have something urgent to attend to, you can leave with Duan Lingtian. Even if you don't fight for the first, second and third place, no one will object." Su Konghai sighed in relief inwardly. At the very least, his junior nephew Tang Sanpao would have one less competitor. Duan Lingtian was too strange. He was not even certain his junior nephew Tang Sanpao would be a match for Duan Lingtian. "You should know the rules of the Devata realm's Battle of Geniuses," Su Konghai said. "Of course." Feng Qingyang nodded and continued to say, "For this reason I plan to let my disciple Duan Lingtian fight in advance according to the rules of the Devata realm's Battle of Geniuses. If I'm not mistaken, there's a rule in the Devata realm's battle of geniuses. If there's a special circumstance, the top 30 can challenge each other at any time. Under such circumstances, even my disciple, Duan Ling Tian, can challenge each other at any time. Feng Qingyang said. You mean? Su Konghai's expression changed drastically when he heard Feng Qingyang's words. An expression of shock and disbelief could be seen on his face. That's right. Feng Qingyang nodded. I plan to let him challenge Tang Sanpao and Ling Jueyun at the same time. I'll let him fight Tang Sanpao and Ling Jueyun at the same time. Naturally, before that, Tang Sanpao and Ling Jueyun can recover their strength until they're at their peak. The entire place fell silent when Feng Qingyang finished speaking. There was indeed a rule in the Devata realm's battle of geniuses. If a person ranked lower than him wanted to challenge the two people ranked higher than him at the same time, he could do so at any time. There was no need to follow the order of the Devata realm's battle of geniuses. This was also a type of privilege. However, one had to be strong enough to obtain this privilege. Heavens! I was wondering why Heavenly Emperor Feng Qingyang suddenly stepped forward. I didn't expect he would let his disciple, Duan Ling Tian, fight Tang Sanpao and Ling Jueyun alone. Although Duan Ling Tian is a 6-star god of war, Tang Sanpao and Ling Jueyun are 6-star gods of war as well. Where does the Heavenly Emperor Feng get his confidence from to let Duan Ling Tian challenge Tang Sanpao and Ling Jueyun at the same time? It's not that simple to fight two people at the same time. When everyone regained their senses, whether it was the Heavenly Emperors of Devata realms, the high-ranking officials from the various title temples, or the group of young geniuses, all of them were shocked. Even Ding Fu, the Heavenly Emperor of the Primeval Heaven, who was sitting next to Feng Qingyang, did not expect Feng Qingyang would suddenly stand up because of this matter. Master, it seems like Junior Uncle Feng is very confident in Junior Brother Duan Ling Tian. At this moment, Ding Fu's disciple Wei Qi, who was standing behind Ding Fu, said with bright eyes. Of course I can see that. Ding Fu nodded. At the same time he looked at Feng Qingyang and said, if I'm not mistaken, Junior Nephew Duan must have something that Junior Brother Feng obtained from the Azura Hell. Naturally, it's also possible that Junior Nephew Duan is still hiding his true strength. Ding Fu said. Still hiding his true strength? Wei Qi was shocked. Don't tell me he's a top 6-star god of war? That's impossible, right? A top 6-star god of war who's not even 700 years old? Even if he's a top 6-star god of war, it's impossible for him to defeat Tang Sanpao and Ling Jueyun if they join forces. Tang Sanpao and Ling Jueyun aren't ordinary 6-star gods of war. Their strength is close to that of a top 6-star god of war. Ding Fu's eyes glinted as he said, unless he's a 7-star god of war. 7-star god of war? Hearing this, Wei Qi swallowed hard and said with a look of disbelief, is that possible? A 7-star god of war who's not even 700 years old? In the history of the Devata realms, there hasn't been a 7-star god of war who's not even 1,000 years old, right? For this reason I think it's the former. Junior Nephew Duan might have something that the Wind Celestial Emperor obtained from the Azura Hell. It might be a high-grade divine artifact with a soul. Ding Fu said, as far as I know, there are different grades of divine artifacts. There are primitive divine artifacts, mediocre-grade divine artifacts, prominent divine artifacts, and supreme-grade divine artifacts. After that, there are supreme divine artifacts. It was clear Ding Fu knew a lot. Su Konghai, the vice palace master of the title temple, had the same thought as well. His eyes flashed as he looked at Feng Qingyang and said, indeed, the title temple has such a rule for the Devata realm's battle of geniuses. However, there's a condition that the titled god emperors aren't allowed to use any external forces. Once this condition is added, both Tang Sanpao and Ling Jueyun won't be able to use their celestial weapons. As for Duan Ling Tian, he won't be able to use his celestial weapons as well. In fact, he won't be able to use any external forces other than himself. The moment Su Konghai spoke, it could be said that he had sealed Duan Ling Tian's path of relying on external help. He knew Feng Qingyang must have obtained something from the Azura Hell that allowed Duan Ling Tian to defeat Tang Sanpao and Ling Jueyun. For this reason, he had added this condition on behalf of the title temple. Of course it's up to you. Su Konghai, who thought Feng Qingyang would back off, did not expect Feng Qingyang would accept his condition so easily. Su Konghai's eyes twitched when he heard Duan Ling Tian's words. Was Feng Qingyang really that confident in Duan Ling Tian? Where did he get his confidence from? Duan Ling Tian was shocked. Chapter 35-23. Both Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao could not help but look at each other. They could see the shock in each other's eyes. They did not expect Feng Qingyang, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, to join the battle. Moreover, they did not expect Feng Qingyang would agree to Duan Lingtian's request. Moreover, he was following the rules set by the tidal temple for the battles between geniuses in the Devata realms. Ling Jueyun, it seems like Duan Lingtian's strength is beyond our expectations. Tang Sanpao sent a voice transmission to Ling Jueyun. However, Ling Jueyun ignored Tang Sanpao's words. He turned to look at Duan Lingtian in the distance before he sat cross-legged in the air. He took out a few pills and consumed them to restore his celestial origin energy. Upon seeing this, Tang Sanpao also sat down and consumed some pills to restore his celestial origin energy. Feng Qingyang, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, had followed the rules set by the Devata realm's battle of the geniuses. Although they felt it was humiliating, they had no choice but to accept it. They could join forces to defeat Duan Lingtian and slap Feng Qingyang in the face. Naturally, they knew Feng Qingyang was confident in Duan Lingtian's strength. Moreover, he did not reject Feng Qingyang's request even though Su Konghai, the host of the Devata realm's battle of the geniuses, had suggested Feng Qingyang was confident in Duan Lingtian. At this moment, Ling Jueyun was inwardly shocked even though he did not show it on his face. Ever since he had parted ways with Duan Lingtian, he was confident he was stronger than Duan Lingtian because of his foundation from the realms of gods and the fortuitous encounters he had obtained over the years. Although Duan Lingtian had displayed the strength of a 6-star god of war during the Devata realm's battle of geniuses, he was not discouraged at all. He did not think Duan Lingtian would be stronger than him even if Duan Lingtian was a 6-star god of war. However, now that Feng Qingyang, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, had joined the battle, Ling Jueyun realized Duan Lingtian was stronger than Duan Lingtian. Ling Jueyun was certain Duan Lingtian was stronger than Ling Jueyun. Not only was Feng Qingyang the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, and Ling Jueyun he was also a godly powerhouse. For him to make such a request Ling Jueyun, it meant he was confident Duan Lingtian would be able to defeat Duan Jueyun and Duan Jueyun Ling Jueyun would be. In that case, we'll wait for them to recover before we fight Duan Lingtian. Su Konghai tried his best to suppress the shock in his heart when he heard Feng Qingyang agreeing to his request. Not only was he speaking to Feng Qingyang, but he was also speaking to everyone present on the scene. All right. When Feng Qingyang returned to his seat next to Ding Fu, the heavenly emperor of the primeval heaven, the young geniuses present on the scene finally regained their senses. All of them were shocked. Heavens! The legendary heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven actually agreed to such a request? Not being able to rely on external forces isn't as simple as not being able to use celestial artifacts and divine artifacts. Under such circumstances, any force that doesn't belong to you can't rely on it. Once you rely on it, you'll be judged to have lost the battle and be eliminated. Heavenly Emperor Feng Qingyang is really confident in his only true disciple. Since the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven is so confident, it means Duan Lingtian is strong enough to deal with Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao. Their gazes seemed to have come to an agreement as they looked at Duan Lingtian in unison. Duan Lingtian, on the other hand, had a calm expression on his face. Before his master, Feng Qingyang, had entered the Azura Hell, one of the 7 deadliest places in the Devata realms, through voice transmission. Feng Qingyang had said his master's true body had found a secret room similar to the Law of Laws in the Tidal Temple in the Azura Hell. Naturally, the secret room only contained one type of law, the Law of Time. However, since the secret room contained a lot of the Law of Time, it was more than enough for him to absorb. Currently, Duan Lingtian's master's true body had successfully mastered all the profundities from the Law of Time in the secret room. Moreover, his master had successfully formed a clone of the Law of Time. Duan Lingtian was naturally shocked when he heard this news. According to his master, that place was enough for him to comprehend all the profundities from the Law of Time. However, he could only rely on himself if he wanted to fuse all the profundities from the Law of Time with the Law of Time. There was no external force that could help him. Let alone titled celestial emperors who were still trying to fuse all the profundities from the Law of Time, even the gods in the realms of gods were trying to fuse all the profundities from the Law of Time. After all, the gods in the realms of gods who had the same cultivation base would be stronger if they mastered more profundities from the Law of Time. Duan Lingtian, are you confident? Su Li's voice rang in the air, interrupting Duan Lingtian's train of thought. At this moment, Duan Lingtian finally regained his senses. Previously, Duan Lingtian had ignored the gazes that were directed at him from the surroundings. You'll find out soon enough. Duan Ling Tian replied with a smile on his face. When Su Li heard Duan Ling Tian's reply, his eyes instantly lit up. At the same time, he had a bitter smile on his face as he said, I originally thought I was already closer to you now. But now it seems like I've been thrown further and further away by you. At the same time, Zhang Tianyu, Wang Ting and He Jianyi who were sitting in the back row looked at Duan Ling Tian's silhouette with disbelief in their eyes. They could not help but blush when they recalled how they had underestimated Duan Ling Tian. Do all of you think Duan Ling Tian has a high chance of winning? While Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao were recovering their celestial origin energies, the people present on the scene were busy discussing the upcoming battle. Although they had to wait for the battle to begin, they felt it was worth the wait. Nobody was in a hurry. At the same time, the group of heavenly emperors and high-ranking officials from the various title temples branches were also whispering among themselves. The Wind Heaven Emperor is too confident in his only true disciple. I think Duan Ling Tian might be able to defeat Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao on his own. That might not be the case. Perhaps this is just a test from the Wind Heaven Emperor to Duan Ling Tian? In any case, Duan Ling Tian is definitely stronger than Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao. As for whether he'll be able to defeat both of them, we'll have to wait for the results. Among the people present on the scene, some of them felt that Duan Ling Tian was capable of defeating both Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao. Some of them felt that Feng Qingyang, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, wanted to test Duan Ling Tian by allowing him to fight both Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao on his own. However, although they all had their own thoughts, they were only guesses. Everyone was looking forward to the upcoming battle. After about 2 hours, Ling Jueyun opened his eyes and stood up. He looked at Su Konghai and said, I've recovered to my peak state. I can make a move at any time. All right. At the same time, Tang Sanpao opened his eyes and stood up as well. I've recovered as well. You've recovered. When Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao announced that they had recovered to their peak state, everyone's eyes lit up. Swoosh. There was no need for anyone to remind Duan Ling Tian. He stepped into the air and entered the ring in just a blink of an eye. Currently, Duan Ling Tian was undoubtedly the focus of everyone's attention. Not a single person's gaze was not on him. Faced with the numerous gazes, Duan Ling Tian's expression remained unchanged and was calm as before. Brother Feng, you're so confident in junior nephew Duan? Do you think he'll win this battle? At this moment, Ding Fu, the heavenly emperor of the primeval heaven, could not help but ask the question that had been bothering him for a long time when he saw Duan Ling Tian entering the ring. Under normal circumstances it should be fine. Feng Qingyang replied. Under normal circumstances? Ding Fu was stunned. He did not know why Feng Qingyang was so confident. Brother Feng, what do you mean by that? Feng Qingyang looked at Duan Ling Tian in the distance and said unhurriedly, It's because I don't know much about this disciple of mine. Upon hearing Feng Qingyang's words, not only was Ding Fu speechless, but even Wei Qi was rendered speechless. On the other hand, Meng Luo, who was standing behind Feng Qingyang, remained calm. He did not seem surprised at all. It was obvious he had expected this. Duan Ling Tian, Ling Jueyun, and Tang Sanpao faced each other in the ring. Duan Ling Tian. Tang Sanpao smiled bitterly and said, It seems like I've underestimated you. Today let's see how big the gap is between us. It was obvious Tang Sanpao felt Duan Ling Tian was stronger than him. He felt this way because of Feng Qingyang, the legendary heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. When Tang Sanpao first approached Duan Ling Tian, he had said that Feng Qingyang was his idol. He did not lie to Duan Ling Tian because he truly regarded Feng Qingyang as his idol. Naturally, he believed his idol's words. Ling Jueyun remained silent as he looked at Duan Ling Tian. His eyes were filled with battle intent and a hint of solemnity could be seen in them. Duan Ling Tian. At this moment, Su Konghai looked at Duan Ling Tian and said, Duan Ling Tian, apart from the fact that you can't rely on external help, you'll lose the right to challenge any one of them if you lose. You can say that if you lose, even if you're stronger than Tang Sanpao or Ling Jueyun, you won't be able to challenge either of them, Duan Ling Tian said. Are you clear about this? Su Konghai asked. Yes. Duan Ling Tian nodded. He was aware of the rules of the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses. In that case, all of you may begin. As soon as Su Konghai finished speaking, the eyes of the onlookers lit up immediately. They stared intently at Duan Ling Tian, Tang Sanpao, and Ling Jueyun as though they were afraid they would miss out on something exciting. Chapter 35-24. It seems like I've really found a treasure. Lord Tathagata or Yahiko stared at Duan Ling Tian with a burning gaze. He was looking forward to his body in the future. At this moment it was not only Tathagata, but even Su Konghai was staring at Duan Lingtian. What an outstanding talent. How good would it be if he was a member of the Tidal Temple? If he was a member of the Tidal Temple, it would not be impossible for him to replace Tang Sanpao as the young temple master of the Tidal Temple. In this world the strong were respected. As the oldest force in this world, the Tidal Temple also valued the strong. Not only were the positions of the older generation determined by their strength, but it was the same for the younger generation as well. Under such circumstances, cultivation was the norm in the Tidal Temple. Basically, everyone was a cultivation maniac. Su Konghai was one of them. Step by step, Su Konghai had become the vice temple master of the Tidal Temple. Only he knew how many hardships he had gone through during this period. It was difficult. It was too difficult. Naturally, Duan Lingtian was unaware of Lord Tathagata's and Su Konghai's thoughts. At this moment he was facing off against Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao. Duan Lingtian. Tang Sanpao looked at Duan Lingtian. The smile on his face gradually disappeared. Although you're fighting 1 against 2 and Ling Jueyun and I have the upper hand, don't expect me to hold back. I believe Ling Jueyun is the same. Tang Sanpao said. Hold back. Duan Lingtian smiled faintly. There's no need for that. Now you can make your move. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Duan Lingtian's expression was calm as he spoke nonchalantly. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, swoosh, swoosh, a series of piercing sounds rang out. Tang Sanpao's body was burning with white flames. The flames roared out like a prairie fire that could not be stopped once it started. On the other hand, Ling Jueyun's body was shrouded in black qi. Bolts of lightning could be seen flashing around the black qi, emitting a suffocating aura. At the same time, the young geniuses in the spectator seats were in an uproar as well. It's starting. No matter who wins or loses this battle, it's going to be recorded in the history books. It's worth it to be able to witness this battle. The young geniuses were not the only ones who were watching the battle. Most of the heavenly emperors and the high-ranking officials of the Tidal Temple's branch palaces were also watching the battle attentively. Senior Duan Senior, Ding Tian Di Tianzes like Heshi Senior, Feng Yu Senior Senior, Heavenly Yu. Senior Senior? Feng Qingyang smiled faintly. I'm afraid you'll be disappointed, old brother Ding. Although he did not know how strong his only true disciple, Duan Lingtian, was before the battle, he had asked for Duan Lingtian's opinion. Duan Lingtian's reply was confident. Since his disciple was so strong, how could he not trust him? Soon after, Duan Lingtian remained motionless under everyone's watchful eyes. His expression was as calm as ever. On the other hand, Tang Sanpao and Ling Jueyun's expressions were solemn. They did not dare to underestimate Duan Lingtian at all. Both of them knew Duan Lingtian very well. Since Duan Lingtian was so calm at this moment, it meant he was not afraid of them making the first move. However, even with that being the case, they still decided to attack together after accumulating their power. Without any discussion, both of them made their moves at the same time. Boom, boom, boom. Tang Sanpao leaped into the air. Due to his fast speed, the white flames on his body were dragged out by him. He looked like a divine dragon formed by the white flames as he charged toward Duan Lingtian. On the other hand, Ling Jueyun's celestial origin energy condensed into a sword in his hand. His death avatar had also snuck up behind Duan Lingtian and formed a sword in his hand as he charged toward Duan Lingtian. Whoosh, whoosh. Blazing white flames filled the air, seemingly causing the temperature of the entire world to rise a little. Some of the young geniuses who were closer and had lower cultivations had their faces slightly flushed, clearly feeling a certain amount of pressure. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Ling Jueyun's sword and the sword of his death avatar carried the profundity of the law of death as they charged toward Duan Lingtian like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. Duan Lingtian was surrounded and attacked from all sides in just a blink of an eye. Why isn't Duan Lingtian making his move? Isn't he afraid he won't have a chance to make his move? It seems like the teleportation profundity from the law of space has given Duan Lingtian enough confidence. Even if he teleports away, Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao can immediately switch positions and charge at him. He won't have time to recharge his energy. Sometimes teleportation isn't necessarily an advantage. It can be a disadvantage as well. That's true. While many people were expressing their opinions about the scene before them, whether it was Ling Jueyun or Tang Sanpao, their attacks were getting closer and closer to Duan Lingtian. In fact, it would only take a moment for their attacks to land on Duan Lingtian. Whoosh. Just as most people thought, Duan Lingtian teleported and disappeared from his original spot. Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao did not care about this. They immediately turned around and charged at Duan Lingtian again. This time the speed of their attacks was faster than before. It seems that both Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao held back earlier. They're obviously waiting for Duan Lingtian to teleport before they attack with all their might. I just don't know how Duan Lingtian will neutralize their attack. Judging from their speed, it's obviously impossible for Duan Lingtian to teleport again. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd after Duan Lingtian teleported, Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao, who were extremely fast, arrived near Duan Lingtian again in the blink of an eye. Whoosh! Whoosh! Blazing white flames filled the sky. It was like a white sunset that covered the sky and the sun. It was dazzling. Whoosh! 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 Sword lights shot out from Ling Jueyun's and his death doppelganger's swords. Each of the sword lights was like the scythe of the Grim Reaper, sharp and bloodthirsty. Just as the crowd had expected, Duan Lingtian did not use the teleportation profundity again. In the face of Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao's swift attacks, Duan Lingtian's expression was as calm as ever. There was no change in his expression. Why aren't you attacking? Now, even the group of heavenly emperors and the higher-ups of the titled God Emperor branch halls could not help but feel anxious. On the other hand, a few people, including Su Konghai and Gongsun Shenyuan, the heavenly emperor of the yellow, the arch 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 of the. However, they did not know where his confidence came from. Su Konghai glanced at Feng Qingyang and saw that Feng Qingyang's expression was calm as if nothing had happened. From this, he knew that he would not be able to find the answer from Feng Qingyang. In the end, he could only look at Duan Lingtian. Just as Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao's powers were infinitely close to Duan Lingtian finally made a move. Duan Lingtian stretched out his right hand and suddenly clenched his fist. In the next instant, cracks in space appeared around his body and swallowed Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao's attacks. However, there were too many attacks and they were like raging waves. Duan Lingtian's annihilation Tao of control was like a drop in the ocean in front of Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao's attacks. More and more attacks were directed at Duan Lingtian. Bang, 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 bang. Earth-shattering sounds reverberated in the air. Every sound was so loud that it made one's heart tremble. At the same time, a blazing white light burst out like a dazzling sun. Everyone, including the group of heavenly emperors and the higher-ups of the titled temple's branch halls, instinctively squinted their eyes. However, when the shockwaves gradually dissipated and everyone opened their eyes, they saw a scene that they would never forget for the rest of their lives. Under the watchful eyes of the group of people, the area in front of Duan Lingtian that was shrouded in blazing white flames and strange black energy appeared. However, although the black and white energy surged, they were unable to charge out of that area. It's the confinement profundity from the law of space. Many people could see this. Naturally, some people soon discovered how terrifying the confinement profundity from the law of space that Duan Lingtian had cast was. The confinement profundity seems to have merged the distortion profundity and the territory profundity. That's not all. The confinement profundity has also merged the magnetic storm profundity and the creation profundity. Look, there's the magnetic storm profundity and the creation profundity around him. When the scene unfolded in front of everyone's eyes, coupled with some people's casual introduction, the group of young geniuses was stunned. The fusion of 3 profundities from the law of space? Moreover, it's the fusion of 2 profundities? Even a 6-star god of war usually refers to someone who has mastered the fusion of 2 profundities. Even the top 6-star gods of war rarely mastered the fusion of 3 profundities. The fusion of 3 profundities is the symbol of a 7-star god of war. This is especially true for someone who has mastered the fusion of 2 profundities. He's 100% a 7-star god of war. A 7-star god of war. After the commotion, the scene fell into a dead silence again. Almost everyone, including Ling Jueyun and Tang Sanpao, looked at Duan Lingtian in disbelief. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have believed that this was real. A person who was not even 700 years old had mastered the fusion of 2 profundities from the law of space, one of the 4 supreme laws. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.